Chapter 442. Inside the hall. As soon as Li Chen entered, a terrifying murderous aura hit him in the face. There were no decorations in the hall, only 8 huge stone pillars connected the ground to the top of the hall. In the middle of the hall, an old man with a head of white hair was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. He was dressed in white and merged with the murderous sword Qi. It was as if his entire person was a killing sword. Emperor Master! Li Chen took a few steps forward and knelt down, not daring to get too close. Even if his master in name hadn't taught him sword Dao for 20 years. He hadn't even fought with anyone in the past 20 years. But his sword Qi was still extremely sharp. He didn't need to fight to suppress Li Chen's sword Dao. Li Chen resisted the pressure and saw that the heartless sword master didn't even open his eyes to look at him, obviously looking down on him. Although he was unwilling, Li Chen had to bite the bullet and tell him everything that happened in the past few days. Originally, the heartless sword master didn't care about the trivial things that Li Chen said at the beginning. But when he heard that the emperor's sword was missing, he immediately opened his eyes. He opened his eagle eyes. The terrifying sword Qi roared directly towards Li Chen. Li Chen only felt that the sword Qi in front of him instantly turned into a surging wave, making him feel as if he was suddenly in a vast ocean. The waves were above him, and could swallow him at any time. The 6th realm of Sword Dao, Infinite Sword Sea. Li Chen suddenly felt a sense of crisis. He knew that he couldn't dodge this sword sea at all, so he immediately knelt down. Master, please spare me. Master, please spare me. He kept kowtowing and begging for mercy, his old eyes closed tightly, not daring to open. The endless sword Qi pressed down on Li Chen like a wave, but in the end, it stopped above his head. Is Yang Kai back? The heartless sword master asked slowly. He didn't seem to have any emotions at all, only a trace of indiscernible gentleness flashed across his murderous face. He was old after all. Hearing this, Li Chen's heart tightened and he didn't dare to answer truthfully. But his expression couldn't be hidden from the heartless sword master. What realm is he at now, and where is he? The heartless sword master asked again. Li Chen braced himself and continued. Yang Kai is now at the 1st heaven of the law realm. That kid used shameless means to win the sword Dao meet and even entered the broken sword cliff. At this point, Li Chen recalled how she had been played by Lin Yu in the morning. After saying a few more bad things about the Zither Emperor sect, he stopped. Shameless? Is there anyone more shameless than you? At this time, the heartless sword master coldly snorted, his gaze deep. On the other hand, Lin Yu, that Zither Emperor's imperial advisor, is not simple. Hearing the sword master praise Lin Yu, how could Li Chen be convinced? He master, that brat does have some tricks up his sleeve. However, he is merely a clown. I have already given the order to seal the Sword Emperor Gate. As long as he is in the Sword Emperor Gate, I will be able to deal with him anytime. Pa. As soon as Li Chen finished speaking, she felt a burning palm print on her right cheek. He covered his face with one hand. When he raised his head to look, the heartless sword master had already retracted her hand. The scene between the master and disciple was exactly the same as when Li Chen had slapped Xiao Wushuang. Lin Yu was able to snatch the emperor's sword from your hands. If he is a clown, then what kind of trash are you? The heartless sword master wanted to kill Li Chen. What is this old man? What is my sword emperor sect? Disciple was wrong, disciple was wrong. Li Chen kept kneeling. How could he dare to say anything bad about Lin Yu? He could only pretend to be serious as he analyzed. Disciple guesses that Lin Yu has the ability to do all this. He definitely did not rely on the Zither Emperor sect alone. Perhaps there are other Emperor sects helping him. For example? The sword master said impatiently. The theft of the Emperor's sword was a great humiliation to the Sword Emperor sect. He had to find it as soon as possible. For example, the first immortal of the Medicine Emperor sect, Yu Xiaoxiao, Li Chen said sternly. Today, Lin Yu refused to admit his crimes and Yu Xiaoxiao helped him. Then, Li Chen clapped his hands and continued, the people from the Tang Emperor sect are also suspects. That young Master Xing Su wanted to leave the Sword Emperor sect after the Emperor's sword went missing. Perhaps he has a guilty conscience. This matter must have something to do with him. Then, Li Chen mentioned the Divine Will Emperor sects Hua Jiyu, the Ghost sects Xiong Wenlong, and the Azura Emperor sects Mo Lian Yuni. Slap. Li Chen had just finished speaking when another bloody palm print appeared on his left cheek. Master, Li Chen only felt wronged. The heartless sword master's old face was full of killing intent as he stared at Li Chen. You suspect all the Emperor sects participating in this Sword Dao conference. Do you want the Sword Emperor sect to become enemies with the entire Emperor sect Starfield? Li Chen realized he had said something wrong again. The mastermind is Lin Yu. Then tell Lin Yu to come to me tomorrow. The heartless sword master was too lazy to say another word to Li Chen. With a wave of his hand, he sent the latter out of the Emperor Palace. Bang! Li Chen fell to the ground outside the palace and heard the sound of the door closing. He stood up, ignoring his current injury as he felt that something was wrong. If the Emperor Master meets Lin Yu, maybe he will meet the Emperor Master when he comes out of the Broken Sword Cliff. At that time, what happened 20 years ago might be dug up again. He couldn't give Yang Kai any more chances. Li Chen looked in the direction of the Broken Sword Cliff. There, the light of enlightenment was still shining, like the bright moon in the dark night. This old master has taken away your things for 20 years. Why should I let you take them back? Li Chen was determined to kill. Since you want to meet Lin Yu tomorrow, then I will kill Lin Yu by my Dove Shadow Divine Sword before dawn. In for a penny, in for a pound. Even if the imperial teacher of the Zither Emperor's sect died, it would make the Sword Emperor's sect and the Zither Emperor's sect go to war. He would rather have such a consequence than give Yang Kai a chance to return to the peak. The first sword of the Emperor's sect should forever lose his brilliance. He should be forgotten by history. In the guest hall, after Lin Yu and the puppet finished their conversation, he was thinking about what to do next. Since I have the Emperor's sword, I should be able to exchange a few moves with that old man. Lin Yu judged the gap between his combat strength and the sword master's. Add the Emperor's zither. In front of him, a glowing zither appeared. It was the supreme treasure of the Zither Emperor's sect, the Zither Emperor's zither. It's not impossible to defeat the sword master. Thinking of this, Lin Yu stood up and walked out of the room. Where are you going? Lian Yin immediately called out to him. It turned out that she had been waiting outside Lin Yu's palace. I'm going to meet Sword Master Wu Xian. The Emperor's sword is missing, so Sword Master Wu Xian won't just sit around and wait for death. Also Li Chen, Lin Yu smiled faintly. Rather than not knowing when the other party will make a move on you, I'd rather strike first. Are you crazy? Lian Yin almost shouted. Do you know what the Emperor Master symbolizes? The highest combat strength of the Emperor's sect. Do you know what the Emperor Master means in the Emperor's sect? An invincible existence. Chapter 443. Then why are you still going? Lian Yin was furious. Lin Yu clearly knew everything. Why are you still taking the risk? He can't keep me here. Lin Yu spread his hands and turned around to leave. Don't worry, I'm just chatting with him. Chatting with an Emperor Master? Lian Yin was stunned for a moment before stopping him again. Then I'll go with you. I can do it alone, wouldn't you be in the way? You! Lian Yin coldly snorted. I am the 7th princess of Zither Emperor sect. I have the responsibility to protect our imperial teacher. You? Lin Yu frowned as he looked towards Lian Yin's heavenly pond acupuncture point. Lian Yin stomped her foot and said, her pretty face blushing, Don't look around any more. I know I'm not as big as Hua Jiyu, but what does that have to do with protecting you? Protection, of course. Lin Yu looked at Lien Yin's determined eyes and knew he couldn't win against her, so he could only agree. However, he suddenly remembered something and turned back to his room. What's wrong, you're not going? Lien Yin thought he had changed his mind and subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. However, as soon as she followed Lin Yu in, she saw the puppet. How can there be another you? Lien Yin had just asked when she noticed that there were some differences between him and the real Lin Yu. His expression is dull, his aura is weak, his divine sense is weak, and his vitality is weak. Lien Yin's bright eyes moved as she observed. She immediately understood the puppet's situation. He's your puppet? It seems you're smarter than Yang Kai. Lin Yu nodded and smiled faintly. When the pitiful voice looked over, she saw that Lin Yu had taken off his clothes. What are you doing? Lien Yin immediately covered her eyes with her white hands. She didn't hear Lin Yu's reply and subconsciously peeked through the gaps between her fingers. I shouldn't have looked. After Lien Yin called out, she turned around. After a long time, Lin Yu put on his clothes and patted Lien Yin's shoulder. I understand. What do you understand? Lien Yin poked her head out. Seeing that Lin Yu had finally covered himself, she rebuked. Why did you change into black clothes for no reason? The latter felt a little helpless. Could it be that I'm going to wear the clothes of the Zither Emperor sect? We're doing something sneaky. Only then did Lien Yin react. You're right. However, when she nodded, she felt that Lin Yu's words had a different meaning. Who's doing sneaky things with you? Time is running out. Lin Yu glanced at the puppet, and it returned to the storage ring on its own. Seeing that he was about to set off, Lien Yin changed the words she was about to say. Do you have any more black clothes? You don't have any. I am the dignified 7th Highness of the Zither Emperor sect, the emissary of the blacklist. How can I have black clothes? After hearing this, Lin Yu gave him a look of disdain and took out his black clothes from his storage ring. Turn around. Lien Yin saw that although the bedchamber was large, there was no screen or anything like that. She helplessly took the black clothes from Lin Yu's hands. When she saw that he had turned around, she sighed in relief. Don't peek. It's not like I haven't peeked before. Lin Yu muttered as he recalled Lien Yin's body from his memories of being trapped for 100,000 years. What? Nothing. Continue. Lin Yu coughed dryly and said no more. Seeing this, Lien Yin walked a little further away. While keeping her guard up against Lin Yu, she slowly slid down her gauze and shoulder strap. Done. Only then did Lien Yin's heartbeat slow down a little. Although she had quickly changed her clothes, she was still worried that Lin Yu would turn around. That feeling was very shy but also very subtle. It's just that. Lien Yin sniffed the black clothes on her body. Why does it smell strange? It smells manly. After saying that, Lin Yu stopped dwelling on these trivial matters. The door of the bedchamber quickly opened and the two figures disappeared into the darkness. I heard that the Sword Emperor's bedchamber is extremely hidden. Do you know where it is? Lien Yin asked softly as she flew side by side with Lin Yu. I know. How do you know? Lin Yu casually said, I heard it from Yang Kai. The two dodged the layers of guards of the Sword Emperor sect. Naturally, the one leading them was Lin Yu. How do you know when the Sword Emperor sect's guards will change shifts? Strange. There is clearly a spirit array here, so how did we come in without alerting anyone? Why are there fewer and fewer people here? Are we approaching the Emperor Palace? Along the way, Lien Yin was shocked by Lin Yu's actions one after another. Hearing this, Lin Yu also felt a headache coming on. The two quickly stepped into the area where there were no living creatures, only a desolate land filled with swords. It wasn't Lin Yu's first time here, so he was naturally used to it. However, Lien Yin's bright eyes were wide open. With every step she took, she could feel the hostility of this world. The aura of the sword Dao had already locked onto her. Have we been discovered? Lien Yin asked worriedly as she looked at the palace in front of her vigilantly. This palace was simple and unadorned. Compared to the other buildings of the Sword Emperor sect, it was much inferior. However, it was too big and could be called the largest palace in the Sword Emperor sect. Moreover, Lien Yin had clearly not entered yet, but she could already feel the murderous Sword Dao aura coming from the palace. It was as if there was a ferocious beast hiding inside the palace that could rush out and devour her at any time. "We were discovered long ago," Lin Yu smiled faintly. Ignoring Lien Yin's shocked and expressionless face, Lin Yu took a step forward and stood directly where Li Chen was standing before. "Zither Emperor Sect's imperial teacher has come to pay a visit to the Sword Emperor." Lin Yu's voice echoed in this deathly silent world. There was no response from the palace. However, Lien Yin's heart was about to jump out of her chest. Didn't he say to be sneaky? Didn't he say to not be discovered? "You! What are you doing?" At the same time, in the direction of the Sword Emperor Sect's guest hall, outside Lin Yu's palace, a black-clothed figure appeared like a ghost. "I can't let you continue to cause trouble." Li Chen's eyes were bloodshot. During this period of time, he had unknowingly collapsed because of Lin Yu. "I can only wrong you, the imperial teacher of the Zither Emperor sect, to die first. Don't worry." Li Chen raised his hands. The aura of the third heavenly layer of the laws combined with the Sword Dao formed a black qi in his palms. If Yang Kai was here, he would definitely recognize this move. It was his unique sword art, Dove Shadow Divine Sword. Li Chen chuckled, looking particularly horrifying in the pitch-black night sky. He raised his hand. "Yang Kai will also come to accompany you soon." After saying this, he did not release his divine sense to check whether Lin Yu was in the room or not, for fear of alarming anyone. The Dove Shadow Divine Sword in his hand flew into the palace. Li Chen left as if his evil plan had succeeded. Not long after he left, the outside of the palace was still calm, but the inside was engulfed by a strange sword qi. Chapter 444. Outside the Imperial Master Palace, Lien Yin waited for a long time. Her heart was beating so fast that it almost jumped to her throat. She only felt that the surrounding killing intent was getting more intense, but she still didn't hear any response from the palace. "Is there no one inside?" Lien Yin shook her head again. "That's not right. Only the Sword Emperor could have such a terrifying Sword Dao killing intent." While she was still thinking about it, Lin Yu had already stepped into it. There was a loud bang. The palace's door directly shattered under Lin Yu's feet. "You!" Lien Yin was in a bad mood. It's over. Not only was she exposed, but the Sword Emperor might vent his anger on her at any time. She was doomed. "Zither Emperor's imperial tutor, you sure have guts." At this moment, an emotionless voice came from the palace. From this voice, Lien Yin seemed to hear a terrifying feeling that someone would be killed at any time. As soon as his voice rang out, a terrifying sea of sword qi descended upon them. "Danger!" Lien Yin shouted and stood in front of Lin Yu. She raised her hand, and the zither was already in her hand. However, the sword qi ocean instantly emitted a terrifying pressure. This pressure caused Lien Yin's movements to pause. With just a pause, the sword qi ocean had already covered her and Lin Yu's heads. Lien Yin's eyes widened as she felt an unprecedented life and death crisis. However, at this moment, a wooden sword hilt appeared in front of her. This sword hilt appeared from the void and was held by the youth's 5 slender fingers. In an instant, countless vines extended from the sword hilt and pierced into the arm of the owner of the fingers. Lin Yu frowned slightly. "It's really uncomfortable." He didn't move at all. The moment the Emperor's sword appeared, the sword qi ocean above his head seemed to have met its nemesis and stopped in midair. In the next moment, the sword qi swarmed towards the Emperor's sword. "Emperor's sword, bloodthirsty. You are indeed the one who stole the Emperor's sword." In the palace, the heartless sword master stared at Lin Yu when he saw that his move was completely absorbed by the Emperor's sword. If you don't give me an explanation, no matter who you are, I will make you stay here today. Lin Yu smiled. Holding the Emperor's sword in his hand, he whispered to Lien Yin, "Step back." She then regained her senses as her gaze landed on the Emperor's sword in Lin Yu's hand. It turned out that Li Chen was telling the truth. But when had the Emperor's sword been taken away by Lin Yu? Lien Yin had always been by Lin Yu's side, but Lin Yu had taken the supreme treasure of the Sword Emperor sect right under her nose. How did he do it? Lien Yin finally understood why Lin Yu had said that she wouldn't be able to help. From her point of view, Lin Yu, who possessed the Emperor's sword, could already contend against an Emperor-level expert. Just like in the battle before the Zither Emperor's gate, Lin Yu had the Emperor's Zither. Even Feng Buxiu, who had devoured his father's cultivation, was not a match for Lin Yu. Imperial Teacher was not only the invincible Imperial Teacher of the Zither Emperor's gate, he was also invincible in the Sword Emperor sect. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. Imperial Teacher, you have both courage and strength. In the future, there will definitely be a place for you in the Emperor sect Starfield. Sword Master Wu Xian watched Lin Yu slowly walk towards him without the slightest fear on his face. For many years, no one had dared to act like this in front of him. Li Chen didn't dare. Even Yang Kai, who was known as the first sword of the Emperor sect, was someone who could surpass him in the future, didn't dare. But what was with this brat's fearless appearance? The Emperor's sword originally belonged to the Sword Emperor sect, so I can return it to Sword Emperor Lord. Lin Yu smiled calmly. However, Lin Yu sacrificed his sleep to come to you so late at night. Sword Emperor Lord, can you guess why? Sword Master Wu Xian stared at Lin Yu with his sharp eagle eyes. Suddenly, his aura dissipated and he smiled. Interesting. Young man, you caused such a commotion in my Sword Emperor sect. So you want to see this old master with more confidence, right? That's right. Lin Yu placed his left hand behind his back and played with the Emperor's sword with his right. Sword Emperor Lord is right. Lin Yu came here to make a deal with you. You! Sword Master Wu Xian shook his head. Let Empress Zither come personally. Otherwise, a trivial Imperial Teacher and a Grand Supreme Realm Cultivator like you isn't qualified to speak to this old master. Lin Yu shrugged and smiled. He knew that compared to Empress Zither, he called himself Emperor and enjoyed power. But the Sword Master in front of him was someone who didn't care about power. However, such a person was even more difficult to talk to than Empress Zither, because he had too strong of arrogance and stubbornness. Whether I am qualified or not, Sword Emperor Lord doesn't seem to know. I am in charge of the current situation. Lin Yu's domineering reply made Lien Yin, who was standing behind him, break out in a cold sweat. She suddenly felt a sharp pain in her arm. Even though the Emperor's sword had absorbed the sword chi from the Sea of Swords, she still suffered some flesh wounds. Junior, you are presumptuous. Sword Master Wu Xian had never seen such an arrogant person, especially one who stepped into his territory. He stood up. Although he didn't make any movements, the Sea of Swords instantly filled the sky above the hall. If you are not a sword cultivator, the Emperor's sword won't be able to unleash its power in your hands. If you think that you can be my enemy with the Emperor's sword, then you are gravely mistaken. Sword Master Wu Xian raised his hand and clawed at the Emperor's sword in Lin Yu's hand. A strong suction force appeared on the Emperor's sword. Lin Yu smiled and circulated the three elements in one realm. He temporarily resisted the suction force, but he knew that he couldn't hold on for long. In the next moment, the sword Dao in Lin Yu's body erupted and merged with the Emperor's sword. Limitless Sea of Swords is merely the entry level of Sword Dao. Sword Master, are you already invincible? Sword Master Wu Xian's eyes widened when he heard this. It wasn't just because of Lin Yu's words. It was also because Sword Master Wu Xian saw that the Emperor's sword in Lin Yu's hand gave off an aura that even he felt uneasy. Perfect fusion. How can it be while Sword Master Wu Xian was in shock, the aura of the Emperor's sword expanded again. Within a radius of 10,000 miles, outside the Emperor Hall, countless swords that were inserted into the ground started to vibrate as though they were summoned. Impossible. Your sword Dao. Even with Sword Master Wu Xian's status, he couldn't help but feel astonished. He saw that under the wooden handle in Lin Yu's hand, the Emperor's sword had transformed into a black longsword. The black longsword looked ordinary without any light. However, it made all the swords submit to it. Emperor's sword. You can use the Emperor's sword perfectly? If the Emperor's sword in Xiao Wushuang's hand only had 10% of its power, now that the Emperor's sword was in Lin Yu's hand, it could unleash its full power. Even Lien Yin, who was behind him, looked at the back view of the young man holding the sword. In front of him was the limitless sea of swords, but in the young man's hand, it was the will of the Emperor of Swords that made all the swords submit to him. Sword Master Wu Xian was also in shock. The countless swords broke out from the ground and rushed to the sky above the Emperor Hall. Then, the swords pointed downwards and locked onto Sword Master Wu Xian. Your sword Dao is also at the 6th realm. Chapter 445. Sword Master Wu Xian couldn't believe it. He didn't believe that anyone below the 6th level could wield the Emperor's sword to such a level. Sword Principal, I don't know what level I am at. Lin Yu rubbed his chin. He had spent close to 5,000 years to repeatedly comprehend different levels of Sword Principle. In the 10th year, he had already tried to become one with the sword. In the 20th year, his talent and hard work allowed him to perform all things are swords for the first time. It was a pity that the aura of the mortal realm was too weak and he couldn't unleash its power. His body couldn't even cultivate the higher levels of Sword Principle. He could only rely on his thoughts to comprehend. However, Lin Yu didn't give up. 100 years. 500 years. 1,000 years. He kept trying and his understanding of Sword Principle was changing. It was a level that a mortal couldn't comprehend. In the end, even Lin Yu didn't know what level his Sword Principle was at. After escaping, his understanding of the sword Dao had been preserved all this time. Therefore, he could guide Sword Fanatic and Yang Qing in their Sword Principle. He could also guide them to unleash the power of the 4 swords' 5 ultimate god-killing array in the southern border. His efforts in the past seemed useless, but in reality, they had fused into his bones, becoming his trump card that had never failed him. Now that Emperor Lord has calmed down, do I have the right to make a deal with you? Lin Yu held the Emperor's sword and didn't look like Xiao Wushuang who was forced to do so. Instead, he looked like he was playing with an ordinary iron sword. When he spoke again, Sword Master Wu Xian couldn't help but look at the sky with fear. The sky was blocked by the palace, but he didn't need to see it clearly. He could feel the sea of swords and it could fall at any time with Lin Yu's thought. He thought that his Sword Principle was invincible. However, he was shocked by a teenager today. Good, very good. The era is changing. So that's how it is. This old man understands. Sword Master Wu Xian smiled awkwardly. If he continued to fight and the news spread, he would lose face as the Sword Emperor Sect Master. With a wave of his hand, Sword Master Wu Xian dispersed his sea of swords. This was his sincere concession. Lin Yu knew that if he could make the heartless Sword Master act like this, then he had achieved his goal tonight. Tell me about your deal. The heartless Sword Master's voice rang out again. At the same time, he was trying to ease the shock he felt from Lin Yu's swordsmanship. Lin Yu smiled. He also waved his sword and dispersed the sea of swords in the sky. Only the sound of gold and jade could be heard coming from outside the palace, as if a torrential rain was falling continuously. If it wasn't for the fact that this place was too far away from the other regions of the Sword Emperor sect, and that the Heartless Sword Sovereign had set a death order that no one was allowed to enter, the commotion would have attracted the attention of the Sword Emperor sect's disciples. I am here for Yang Kai. Emperor Lord should know that his sword Dao is not inferior to Li Chen's. I also know that you don't have much time left. The position of Imperial Lord must be passed to Li Chen. After hearing this, Heartless Sword Sovereign stared at Lin Yu vigilantly. The Zither Emperor sect shouldn't meddle in the affairs of my Sword Emperor sect. Lin Yu spread his hands. I don't represent the Zither Emperor sect. I represent my own sect. Yang Kai is the left envoy of my Loki sect. Hearing this, the Heartless Sword Sovereign's gaze deepened. He wanted to see through Lin Yu, but he only felt that Lin Yu's body seemed to be blocked by a cloud of fog. He couldn't see through him and couldn't touch him. Loki sect. The Heartless Sword Sovereign's old face couldn't help but twitch when he heard this name, but he still straightened his body and said, Yang Kai lost to Li Chen 20 years ago. What else do you want to say for him? Lin Yu smiled after hearing this. You know that he didn't lose to the Sword Dao. A trace of reminiscence flashed in his slightly tired eyes. The Heartless Sword Sovereign sighed. It seems that you know a lot, but you are also a sword cultivator. You should know that the victory of a sword cultivator is not only in the Sword Dao. It's also in the state of mind and cultivation. If a sword cultivator loses, no matter what the reason is, he has lost. Lin Yu nodded. He knew that the Heartless Sword Sovereign had his own principles and stubbornness when it came to the Sword Dao. He spread his hands and didn't want to argue with him. Instead, he nodded cooperatively. The Heartless Sword Sovereign is right, but since Yang Kai can make a comeback, it means that he hasn't completely lost. Lin Yu borrowed the strength of the Heartless Sword Sovereign. As long as a sword cultivator can still hold a sword, he still has the right to fight, isn't that right? The Heartless Sword Sovereign was stunned by Lin Yu's words. He couldn't refute it for a while. Since he didn't die, he can fight again. Yang Kai is now in the Broken Sword Cliff. When he comes out, does the Heartless Sword Sovereign think that he has the ability to fight Li Chen? Lin Yu's words showed unparalleled confidence. The Heartless Sword Sovereign looked at him. He was a young man with his back facing the light of enlightenment at the Broken Sword Cliff. He had absolute confidence in his own people. Even if the Heartless Sword Sovereign stood on the opposite side of Lin Yu, he didn't hesitate to kill Lin Yu to take back the Emperor's sword. But now, he couldn't help but show a trace of admiration for this young man. You took the risk to come to me for Yang Kai? The Heartless Sword Sovereign asked. Seeing Lin Yu nod, he became curious. You said that Yang Kai is the left envoy of the Loki sect. Who are you? The sect master of the Loki sect. Lin Yu said in a neither servile nor overbearing tone. Good, it seems that boy followed a good person. The Heartless Sword Sovereign suddenly smiled. Luck and vision are also part of a sword cultivator. Since Yang Kai met him, this old man promises you that when Yang Kai comes out, I will let him fight with Li Chen. He smiled bitterly again. In fact, even if your excellency didn't come, Li Chen would have gone to find Yang Kai. How could he allow Yang Kai to covet something that he had enjoyed for 20 years? Lin Yu nodded. He thought that if Yang Kai was here, he might be disappointed because of this honored master. He clearly knew everything and knew how unwilling Yang Kai was when he lost that year. But he didn't care, because the Heartless Sword Sovereign's Sword Dao only valued results and victory. So, you and I should set a layer of meaning behind this battle. As Lin Yu's voice fell, the Emperor's sword in his hand was directly thrown to the Heartless Sword Sovereign. The latter didn't expect Lin Yu to suddenly return the Emperor's sword. When he caught it, the Heartless Sword Sovereign could only look at Lin Yu in surprise and confusion. The meaning of this battle? Before he could react, he heard Lin Yu laugh. Yes, the Emperor's sword is the meaning of this battle. I don't need to say this, Emperor Master should know what to do, right? The heartless sword sovereign took back the Emperor's sword. No one dares to tell this old man what to do. He already understood Lin Yu's meaning in his heart. He didn't refute, which meant that he agreed. But the heartless sword sovereign was still a little unwilling. He was actually being ordered around by a child in his eyes. You don't have the Emperor's sword, so you are no match for this old man. Aren't you afraid that this old man will leave you here? The heartless sword sovereign warned. But Lin Yu had already taken Lien Yin's cold jade hand and walked out of the hall. At the same time, he waved his hand without looking back. Emperor Master, you don't have to send me off. As soon as his voice fell, his figure disappeared into the night. Chapter 446. Little brat, you sure run fast. Sword Master Wu Xian stared at the Emperor's sword in his hand. If he didn't keep the Emperor's sword, this old master would have thought of a way to keep him here. But he personally returned the sword. If I pursued the matter, it would seem that he was generous and this old master was stingy. He let out a long sigh. Yang Kai. How could he not understand his unwillingness to lose? Tonight, I really did meet a special person. However, 2 of such people have appeared recently. Sword Master Wu Xian looked out of the dark hall, in the direction Lin Yu left. His tired eyes were still filled with doubt. What's the relationship between you and Heaven Emperor Xiao? This question. He had recognized Lin Yu from the first time he saw Lin Yu. Lin Yu's face was exactly the same as Heaven Emperor Xiao's. But before he had a chance to ask, Lin Yu had already left. In other words, Lin Yu had been leading the conversation tonight. The latter didn't give him a chance to ask. Yang Kai, your sect master has created an opportunity for you. Sword Master Wu Xian looked in the direction of the light of enlightenment. Whether you can seize this opportunity or not is up to you. Lin Yu and Lien Yin naturally couldn't hear Sword Master Wu Xian's words at this moment. The 2 returned to the guest hall. Lien Yin immediately sensed that something was wrong. What happened to your room? She came to the door of Lin Yu's bedroom. When she opened it, she saw that it was in ruins. What a powerful sword chi! Lien Yin frowned and analyzed to Lin Yu. The outside of the bedroom is intact, but the inside is indeed destroyed. This is the Dove Shadow Divine Sword. Did Li Chun come here? Maybe. Lin Yu looked helpless. He didn't care about Li Chun. I have no place to sleep tonight. Lien Yin looked at him angrily. Was this the time to think about such things? She thought about it carefully. If Lin Yu hadn't gone to find the Sword Emperor, he might have fought with Li Chun and been hit by the Dove Shadow Divine Sword. His decision tonight seemed to be the right one now. Returning the Emperor's sword to avoid drawing fire to himself. While negotiating with the Sword Master, he also managed to avoid Li Chen's killing intent. Thinking of this, Lien Yin could not help but admire Lin Yu. In terms of battle prowess, I feel that our Imperial Preceptor is more invincible in strategy. Lien Yin, who had been nervous the entire night, finally let out a sigh of relief. Tonight, Imperial Tutor can sleep at my place. Lin Yu blinked. Is it convenient? Where else can you go? Yang Mu and Zhuang Tiangang are already sleeping soundly. Could it be that Imperial Preceptor wants to find that little demon Hua Jiu? Lin Yu almost spat out a mouthful of blood upon hearing her words. Helpless, he could only go to Lien Yin's room. The Imperial Preceptor has a distinguished status. You can sleep on the bed. I'll sleep on the floor. As Lien Yin spoke, she prepared to lay down on the floor, but her wrist was grabbed by Lin Yu. Let go. Lien Yin immediately had a bad feeling. This man wouldn't do anything to her, right? Sit down. In the next instant, she heard Lin Yu's commanding tone. Lien Yin did not know why, but under this voice, she could not muster up any courage to resist. She obediently sat by the bed. Just when she thought that Lin Yu was going to do something bad. Pitiful Een saw Lin Yu take out a lot of glory bot from his storage ring. Black and white flames burned and melted the glory bot into glory energy. Only then did Lien Een realize the pain in her arm. As it turned out, the sword master's sword chi had cut a small wound on her arm. Thank you. Seeing Lin Yu treat her wound, Lien Een could not help but feel warmth in her heart. This was the first time she had such contact with a man. It's about time. Lin Yu let go of her hand. You're so fast? Lien Een did not feel the warmth for long before Lin Yu finished treating her. It's just that I'm fast in healing. I'm not fast in other aspects, Lin Yu still explained. He was afraid that this girl would speak nonsense in front of others. Hearing this, Lien Yin's face turned red. She seemed to have thought of something and did not want to say anything. You can sleep on the bed. Lin Yu held her shoulder again. Lien Een knew that with her injury, it was better not to move around carelessly. Hence, she allowed Lin Yu to arrange for her to lie down. The night in the Sword Emperor sect is cold. Don't harm your body if you sleep on the ground. Lien Een was just about to say this when Lin Yu lay down beside her. Shouldn't you be lying on the ground? Hey! Lien Een was so angry that her face turned pale. Why did this guy lie down on his own? She had just thought of lying down. However, Lin Yu blew lightly, and the glory fire in the room was extinguished. Lie down. I'm not interested in you. After saying this, Lin Yu fell into a deep sleep. Lien Een was both angry and embarrassed. Damn it! What did he mean by not interested in her? She wanted to wake Lin Yu up, but she could already hear Lin Yu's steady breathing. The night was hazy. Under the faint moonlight, Lin Yu's thin but exquisite figure could be seen. Are you a pig? Who's so fast? This guy, is it only when he's sleeping that he's not so annoying? Lien Een was in a daze. However, when she came back to her senses, her eyes were filled with melancholy. If you continue to grow stronger, you and her will have to fight in the end. Lien Een let out a long sigh. Looking at Lin Yu's side profile, she used her wrist as a pillow and leaned against Lin Yu. The Sword Emperor sect spent a quiet night. When the dawn was broken by the light of dawn, in the sky above the Sword Emperor sect, several auras suddenly descended. Those are the people from the Shura Emperor sect. And the people from the Tong Emperor sect. They're here. The other Emperor sects are here. The hundreds of thousands of disciples of the Sword Emperor sect looked up and saw that the sky had been broken by dozens of battleships, revealing the pitch-black starry sky. The dozens of battleships were divided into two groups and stopped in the sky above the north and south. Who dares to lock up my son? On the Shura Emperor sect's battleship, an old man in blood-red robes stood with his hands behind his back. He stood on the deck of the largest battleship and looked down. His voice was like thunder, mixed with the aura of a second-level law, and exploded in the sky. I didn't expect the people from the Shura Emperor sect to be locked up. The Sword Emperor sect is bold. In the sky above the north, among the battleships that were waving the flag of the Tong Emperor sect, a 3-meter-tall middle-aged man looked over and sneered. Mo Lien too, my son Xing Su is also locked up by the Sword Emperor sect. I think the Sword Master doesn't put our two sects in his eyes. What do you think we should do about today's matter? On the southern battleship, Mo Lien too cupped his fists and smiled. I was wondering who could be so powerful. So it's the Tong Emperor sect's North King, Lord Xing Kuei. He stared at the tall man leading the battleship. He was one of the 4 kings under the Tong Emperor sect's Emperor sect. North King, Xing Kuei. It's a pity that I'm not the one in charge today. North King, you've asked the wrong person. Mo Lien Tu's old eyes turned as he spoke. Xing Kuei looked at the Shura Emperor sect's battleship in surprise. Brother Mo Lien, you're one of the 3 generals under the Shura Emperor sect's Emperor sect. If you're not the one in charge today, could it be that the Shura Emperor sect's Emperor is here personally? Chapter 447. While speaking, Xing Kuei subconsciously became nervous. If an emperor-level expert really came, he would have to take it easy. If the Emperor Lord came, I'm afraid the Sword Emperor sect would be filled with blood today. Emolian too bowed to the sky to show his respect, then looked behind him. The one in charge today is our Emperor Lord's new wife, Madame Xiao Xiao. At this moment, behind Emolian too, there was a beautiful woman in luxurious clothes. Her dress was dignified and elegant, and she even had a kind of arrogant temperament. However, she didn't look more than 20 years old. Even at this age, the young girl's actions already had a charm that many men couldn't look away from. It was hard to imagine how beautiful she would be in a few years when her charm matured a little more. Xing Kuei's gaze fell on Yan Xiaoxiao, and he couldn't help but be shocked by her beauty. Azura Emperor Lord is really lucky to be able to marry such a beautiful wife. Xing Kuei swallowed his saliva, restrained his evil thoughts, and smiled. I wonder which emperor sect Madame Xiaoxiao is from? This king is ignorant and inexperienced. I haven't heard of Madame's name. He wanted to find something to talk about with Yan Xiaoxiao. Unfortunately, the latter ignored him, and her bright eyes fell on the Sword Emperor sect. At this moment, Yan Xiaoxiao's eyes were filled with confusion and helplessness, as if she was looking for someone. Madame Xiaoxiao, is the North King talking to you? Emolian too reminded her. I don't want to talk about it. After a long time, Yan Xiaoxiao's cold voice was heard. Emolian too's old face twitched. Fine, let's go after we pick him up. Yan Xiaoxiao didn't say anything. On the other side, Xing Kuei's hot face was stuck on a cold butt, and he could only cough dryly and change the topic. Sword Emperor sect, they even set up a protective barrier. They don't want anyone to come out, and they don't want us to go in? It seems like the Sword Emperor sect wants to be enemies with our Two Emperor sect. Emolian too also echoed. At the same time, below the Sword Emperor sect, Emolian Uni received the news and immediately walked out of the guest hall, and saw his father coming to pick him up. Father, I'm here. Emolian Uni shouted, and stepped into the air. Son, don't be afraid. Father is here. Emolian too raised his hand. Break the protective shield for me. With that, the Azura Emperor Gate's warships began to crash into the protective barrier. Explosions continued to explode in the sky. Emolian Yun was not the only one who came out. Young Master Xing Su also stepped out of the Tong Emperor Gate's guest hall. Father, I'm here. With that, Prince Tong's Xing Su and the 8 followers behind him shouted in joy as if they had met their savior. Immediately, he stepped into the air. Damn it! Break open the Sword Emperor Gate's defensive barrier. Seeing his son trapped inside, Xing Kuei's eyes turned red with anxiety. At this moment, in the Sword Emperor sect's emissary hall, Li Chen was still immersed in the joy of killing Lin Yu. After being hit by this seat's peak strike, Dove Shadow Divine Sword, no matter how many tricks you have, it's useless. You're dead for sure. Thinking of this, Li Chen couldn't help laughing. Reporting to the emissary, Master, he's dying. Get lost, Xiao Wushuang, that trash. It's best if he dies like this. If he doesn't, I'll send him on his way. Li Chen said angrily. His good mood was ruined. He was very utilitarian. Xiao Wushuang caused him to lose the Emperor's sword. Now, Li Chen was waiting to collect Lin Yu's corpse and then find the Emperor's sword. Today, he didn't dare to go out casually. Instead, he told his disciples that he had been in seclusion since the end of the sword Dao meet yesterday. He was worried that people would suspect him. Now, Xiao Wushuang's subordinates came to him and pretended to be pitiful. How could Li Chen ruin his good mood for that trash? After a while, another subordinate came to report. I already said that I'm not going. It's not good for me to go out today. If Xiao Wushuang sends more people, I'll kill him. Before the subordinate could speak, Li Chen had already shouted in anger. That disciple trembled in fear and knelt down. Emissary, please spare my life. Yes, someone is coming. Who is it? I won't see them. Li Chen snorted. He would appear after the news of Lin Yu's death came. That would be the best scenario. After hearing that, the disciple didn't dare to say anything else. He looked at the dozens of Emperor sect battleships behind him that were constantly crashing into his defensive array. He was angry but didn't dare to say anything. Li Chen in the emissary hall didn't know anything. He was still waiting, but there was still no news about Lin Yu. Instead, 2 hours had passed. All of a sudden, Li Chen heard a loud bang. That was a loud sound from the sky. Then, waves of array waves swept across the entire Sword Emperor sect. The shattered array was like a storm that went out of control. It exploded above the Sword Emperor sect, causing an earthquake. What's going on? Li Chen's eyes widened and he immediately called his disciples. Emissary, the Shura Emperor sect and the Tong Emperor sect have destroyed our sect protection array. How dare you? Li Chen stood up and flew into a rage. Why didn't anyone inform me of such a big matter? Emissary, the disciples felt like cursing out loud. Didn't you say that you wouldn't meet anyone who came to look for you? How were they supposed to answer now? However, even if it was Li Chen's own problem, they could only lower their heads and let Li Chen scold them. Shura Emperor sect, Tong Emperor sect, Li Chen snorted. He didn't wait for the news of Lin Yu's death and rushed out of the emissary hall. The moment he came out, he saw the 2 emperor sects breaking through the defensive array. I was wondering who had come. So it's North King Xing Kuei and Great General Emolian. Li Chen stepped into the air, and tens of thousands of Sword Emperor sect experts gathered behind him. The 2 of you have come to our Sword Emperor sect and destroyed our sect protection array. What is the meaning of this? What a good sword emissary. You know how to complain first. My son came to participate in the Sword Dao conference out of goodwill. Not only did you not treat him well, you even imprisoned him and prevented him from leaving. What is the meaning of this? Xing Kuei laughed loudly and raised his hand, ready to give an order. Tong Emperor sect is not a pushover. Don't you think so? Li Chen's face darkened. He had been tricked by Lin Yu the day before. Today, these people had come to find trouble with him again. Did they think that he, who was at the 3rd level of the laws, was a pushover? On the Shura Emperor sect's side, Emolian Uni saw that there was someone backing him up and also pointed his finger at Lin Yu. Father, the person who imprisoned me is not the sword emissary. Naturally, he wouldn't really cause trouble in the Sword Emperor sect. If he did, the Shura Emperor sect would suffer. But Lin Yu had snatched away Hua Jieyu and Yu Xiaoxiao, and even beat him to the point that he was still injured. Emolian Uni could not swallow this anger even if he died. Chapter 448. Not the Sword Emissary? Emolian too narrowed his eyes. Other than the Sword Emissary, who else can stop you from leaving? Could it be Sword Emperor Lord? No, the person who trapped this child. Emolian Uni choked with sobs. It's the Zither Emperor sect's imperial advisor, Lin Yu. Lin Yu. A sharp light flashed in Emolian Tu's old eyes. Why do I seem to have heard of this name before? Yen Xiaoxiao, who was behind him, couldn't help but tremble when she heard the name Lin Yu. However, she concealed it extremely well and quickly regained her calm tone. She asked, You mean Lin Yu imprisoned you? This was the first time she had taken the initiative to speak. Madame Xiaoxiao. Seeing that Yen Xiaoxiao had also come, Emolian Uni immediately bowed and cupped his fists. That's right, it's Lin Yu. Not only did he not allow this subordinate to return to the Shura Emperor sect, he also injured me. Finished. Emolian Uni coughed a few times, pretending to be extremely weak. However, he couldn't help but glance at Yen Xiaoxiao from the corner of his eyes. This imperial madam. Not only was she younger than him, she was also too beautiful. Father, this child was also imprisoned by Lin Yu. He also warned me that if I dared to take a step out of the Sword Emperor sect, he would kill me. In the northern warship group, young Master Xing Su also cupped his fists towards Xing Kuei and said in a stern voice with an aggrieved expression, "Lin Yu, who exactly is this person? This king has never heard of him before, but he actually dares to touch my son?" Xing Kuei was furious and slammed his palm on the armrest of the deck. The warship couldn't help but shake. His body size was several times smaller than his son's, and it looked extremely abrupt. "He was brought here by the Blacklist emissary. I heard that he is the new imperial advisor of the Zither Emperor sect." Hearing this, Xing Kuei's expression also became serious. The Zither Emperor sect's imperial advisor is above everyone else. His cultivation might also be at the third layer of the law. This matter seems to be a bit troublesome. Xing Kuei judged. "Father, you've guessed wrong. That brat is only a mere Grand Supreme stage cultivator. It's just that his technique is so overbearing that he can transform into a gigantic black scythe. I'm no match for him." Young Master Xing Su finished speaking in one breath, and the 8 followers behind him also nodded in agreement. Grand Supreme Stage. What a brat! A mere Grand Supreme Stage dares to step on my nose. Xing Kuei's angry voice sounded out. He looked down. Where is the Zither Emperor's imperial tutor, Lin Yu? He heard them shouting for Lin Yu. On the south side of the Shura warship, Emol Yen too patted his head and suddenly remembered the smiling face. Lin Yu. He almost couldn't remember this name. This was the name of the sect master of the low-profile sect, who had used him to lure the Shura Emperor Gate out and kill tens of thousands of people from the Shura Emperor Gate. Even now, Emol Yen too didn't dare to report this debt to Diju Sha. But Emol Yen too still had doubts in his heart. At that time, he thought that Lin Yu was trapped by the Azura Gate. When he was about to die, he came out with Madame Xiao Xiao. But later, Emol Yen too asked Yen Xiao Xiao about Lin Yu's whereabout. The latter just replied vaguely, saying that after Lin Yu left the Azura Gate with her, they disappeared without a trace. I didn't expect that brat to run to the Zither Emperor's Gate and become the imperial tutor. Emol Yen too laughed. There's a road to heaven but you don't take it, there's no door to hell. Well, today we'll settle the old and new accounts together. Seeing that the 2 great Emperor's Gates were looking for trouble with Lin Yu, Li Chen's heart tightened. Last night, he killed Lin Yu. If he knew that someone else would do it today, wouldn't it be better for him to borrow a knife to kill him? Sigh. Now that Lin Yu was dead, if the people from the Tong Emperor's Gate and the Shura Emperor's Gate saw a dead person, wouldn't they have nowhere to vent their hatred? In the end, it would all be on his head. This old man has miscalculated. Li Chun thought, smiled awkwardly, and bowed to the crowd. Rest assured, this old man is also very opposed to the actions of the Zither Emperor's Gate's imperial tutor. Let this seat lead the way to find Lin Yu and give you justice. Xing Kuei and Emol Yen too looked at each other, nodded, and stepped off the warship. You guys wait here. The 2 of them brought their son down the warship. Yen Xiaoxiao's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of worry, and she followed. Li Chen was in front. Xing Kuei, Xing Su, Emol Yen too, Emol Yen Uni, and Yen Xiaoxiao were behind. At the same time, they came to Lin Yu's palace. Lin Yu is inside. Li Chun stopped, sighed, and laughed in his heart. He had no idea what had happened to the inside of the building. Go in and bring him out. Emol Yen too ordered. Yes. Emol Yen Uni nodded immediately and wanted to rush in. Wait. Yen Xiaoxiao frowned, raised her wrist, and stopped in front of Emol Yen Uni. Wait for me here, I will go in first. Emol Yen too was puzzled. Madame Xiaoxiao, what do you mean? Worried about Lin Yu, Yen Xiaoxiao's bright eyes moved slightly. This kind of scum, this madam will deal with it personally. No need, this old man's son was humiliated, I will deal with it myself. Emol Yen too stared at Yen Xiaoxiao with his vicious eyes. Ignoring the latter's obstruction, he directly erupted with his law. opening a path for Mo Lien Uni. On the other side, Xing Su also followed at the same time. The two rushed into the palace together. Yan Xiaoxiao was furious. Presumptuous. Madam, please forgive me. This matter concerns the honor of my Shura Emperor Gate. As a general, this old man is eager to find justice. Mo Lien too bowed and apologized. However, where was the slightest apology in his tone? Obviously, due to Yan Xiaoxiao's identity, he had to be polite. However, he also knew some secrets about Yan Xiaoxiao. For example, Yan Xiaoxiao was the madam of the Emperor Lord in name only. Another example was the relationship between her and Lin Yu. After Yan Xiaoxiao returned from the battle of the Loki sect, Mo Lien too felt something was wrong. After investigating the inner area, he knew that Lin Yu and Yan Xiaoxiao had known each other for a long time, and their relationship was not shallow. Unfortunately, after Mo Lien too reported this matter to the Emperor Lord, he did not immediately deal with it. The Emperor Lord did not immediately deal with this matter. Instead, he let Mo Lien too follow Yan Xiaoxiao and monitor her every move. I hope the general really has the ability to get justice. Yan Xiaoxiao snorted coldly, and her beautiful eyes fell on the door of the palace. Inside, she could already hear bits and pieces of sound. Although she was worried, she was still confident that Lin Yu could solve the dilemma in front of her. After all, that guy had too many tricks up his sleeve. On the other side, Li Chen was waiting for Lin Yu's body to be moved out. After a long while, when Mo Lien Uni and Xing Su came out, they both cursed at the same time. He's not in the palace. Damn Lin Yu, he must know that we're here to settle the score with him, so he ran away in advance. The two of them walked out empty-handed. Li Chen was stunned. Impossible, this is where Lin Yu lives. He walked in and looked around. All that was left of the palace was ruins. It was caused by his dove shadow divine sword. But where were Lin Yu's people? Chapter 449. Oh no, I was worried that no one would notice last night, so I didn't check if Lin Yu was in there. Li Chen had a bad feeling. How could he let that kid get away with it? If Lin Yu had escaped earlier, it would have been difficult. Li Chen pretended to be in a difficult position. Don't worry, I'll get justice for you. Lin Yu won't be able to leave the Sword Emperor sect. Since Lin Yu was fine, he could kill him with a borrowed knife. At the same time, he could find the whereabouts of the Emperor's sword. Li Chen immediately came up with a plan. This matter was still under his control. But just as Li Chen was thinking about his plan, the door of Lien Yin's palace, which was next to Lin Yu's palace, slowly opened. That's the residence of the emissary of the Black List, Li Chen replied. But the next moment, his eyes widened. The person who came out was not Seventh Highness Lien Yin, but Lin Yu. Why are you here? Li Chen stammered for a moment. In front of him, the sleepy young man yawned and smiled faintly. You destroyed my room, so I had to sleep somewhere else. You weren't in your room? Li Chen asked in surprise. But when the words came out of his mouth, he realized that he had been exposed. Wasn't this a confession without being pressed? Yes, I wasn't. Lin Yu was too lazy to explain. But since Li Chen admitted that he wanted to assassinate him, then he wasn't dead. The next one to die would be Li Chen. Lin Yu had always been a vengeful person. These people? Lin Yu looked around in front of Lien Yin's palace. Humph, Lin Yu, don't you know that you're about to die? Li Chen snorted angrily and raised his hand to introduce these people. However, Lin Yu was one step ahead of him and interrupted him. North King Shen Kuei from the Tong Emperor sect, Mo Lien Tu from the Shura Emperor sect. Got it. Father, it's him. Yes, he's Lin Yu. Mo Lien Uni and Mr. Xing Su identified Lin Yu one after another. Good boy, are you the Zither Emperor's imperial advisor? Beiwang Shenkuei sneered. He took a step forward and unleashed his powerful combat constitution. As he released his blood qi, the temperature of the surrounding space began to rise. Yes, I am. Lin Yu nodded. On the other side, Mo Lien Tu's eyes were also filled with killing intent. So the sect master of the low-key sect came here. You really made me look for you. Lin Yu smiled. You looked for me? Would General Mo Lien dare to report the death of 100,000 soldiers to the Emperor Lord? The Azura Emperor Gate's 3 great generals were in charge of their own armies. And the army that died last time happened to be under the jurisdiction of Mo Lien Tuesday. As long as he didn't report it, the Azura Emperor sect wouldn't be affected by the loss of 100,000 people. The Emperor wouldn't know about this either. What nonsense are you spouting about 100,000 troops? I don't understand. Mo Lien Tu's old face twitched. This brat was not easy to deal with. As soon as they met, he dug up his background. Seeing Lin Yu's calm appearance, Yan Xiaoxiao's eyes flashed with a gentle light. This guy. He was still that annoying and powerful guy. Lin Yu naturally noticed her. But he also knew that now was not the time to reminisce. Li Chen led these people to his residence. Lin Yu didn't need to think to know what he wanted to do. Lin Yu, this old man won't argue with you about the past. But today, I want to settle the matter of imprisoning my son. Mo Lien Tu perfunctorily said something about the low-key sect and patted Mo Lien Yuni's hand. You are the Zither Emperor's imperial advisor. You should know that offending people from other emperors' sects will have an impact on the Zither Emperor's sect. Mo Lien Yuni also echoed and cast a murderous look at Lin Yu. Dad, don't talk nonsense with that brat. We have more people. Just kill him. The Zither Emperor's sect won't dare to say anything. The corner of Lin Yu's mouth raised. I agree with your approach. Lin Yu, you still want to act cool when you're about to die. Mo Lien Yuni was furious, but he didn't dare to make a move himself. After all, he couldn't beat Lin Yu. What, you don't want to kill me? Lin Yu stood there with a harmless look on his face. But Mo Lien Yuni felt a chill down his spine. Could there be something strange? This brat is so calm that it's strange. On the other side, Xing Kuei also felt that something was wrong. If you don't mean to explain, it seems that you deliberately want to go against our Tong Emperor's sect. Xing Kuei said and looked at Mo Lien Tuesday. Brother Mo Lien, how do you think we should solve this matter? Listen to Brother Xing Kuei. Mo Lien Tu said with a smile. Xing Kuei cursed in his heart. Did he want him to shoot the bird that stood out? Where did the confidence he had when he was about to kill Lin Yu go? Xing Kuei's eyes fell on Lin Yu. You seem to know me? Nope. Lin Yu replied casually. He didn't even look at Xing Kuei, but at the light of enlightenment in the direction of the broken sword cliff. It seems that it's going to end soon. Lin Yu smiled and said to himself, Brat, I don't care if you're really the state preceptor of the Zither Emperor's sect. Since you look down on me, I'll teach you a lesson today. Then, Xing Kuei took a step forward, and his 3-meter-tall body instantly appeared in front of Lin Yu. Lin Yu only saw darkness in front of his eyes. He stepped back with his right foot and raised his left fist. Be careful. 2 women's nervous voices came at the same time. One came from Yan Xiaoxiao. The other came from the palace behind Lin Yu. It was Lian Yin's voice. Seeing Lian Yin, Yan Xiaoxiao's pretty face turned pale. Did the 2 of them spend the night in the same room? The sound waves exploded. Lian Yin's fingers turned into afterimages, and the zither instantly erupted with layers of sound waves, directly blocking Xing Kuei. Blacklist envoy? Xing Kuei sneered. He clenched his fist, which was the size of a human head, and smashed it towards Lin Yu. But he didn't directly hit Lin Yu. This fist was completely blocked by the sound wave barrier. Bang! The sound of the fist breaking through the wind came. Xing Kuei's attack failed and his figure disappeared. Although his body was huge, his movement technique was more agile than an ordinary qi cultivator's. When he reappeared, he was already above Lin Yu's head, and his foot stepped down. Break! Lin Yu didn't move. Pitiful sound waves came again. The laws fused with the sound waves, forming a light green lotus above Lin Yu's head. The lotus spun and collided with Xing Kuei's foot. Rumble! The lotus shattered. Lien Yin's blood energy surged. Her jade-like hands trembled on the zither strings. When she wanted to play again, she saw that the zither strings had already broken. A cultivator with a battle body was so strong. So you're just an embroidered pillow hiding behind a woman. Xing Kuei sneered. His huge battle body appeared behind Lin Yu. Imperial teacher, how about you take a punch from me? Danger. Yan Xiaoxiao was so scared that her beautiful face paled. But just as Xing Kuei's voice fell, the fist of a second heavenly layer battle cultivator had already arrived. Chapter 450. Everyone thought that Lin Yu wouldn't be able to react in time and would take the punch for nothing. However, Lin Yu's arm was so fast that they couldn't see it clearly. His left arm glowed with golden light as he gathered the power of 3 in 1. Idiot! You're fighting a combat cultivator with a physical body. Li Chen sneered. She couldn't wait for Lin Yu to die there. Boom! The palm and the fist collided. The ground where Lin Yu was standing was torn apart. However, Xing Kuei stared at the young man who was a few heads shorter than him in shock. He suddenly found that his constitution didn't have much of an advantage. His opponent had taken it. You're also a combat cultivator. Xing Kuei narrowed his eyes. A grand supreme constitution, but no, you are. Xing Kuei felt that Lin Yu's constitution was too strange. It wasn't an awakened constitution, but it was 6 times stronger than an ordinary combat cultivator. Impossible! Xing Kuei punched out once more. However, Lin Yu had already appeared where he was. When Xing Kuei's kick missed, he suddenly heard the sound of wind from his right. Whoosh! Lin Yu took the initiative to attack. The powerful kick of a combat cultivator swept across the air. Xing Kuei's constitution reacted very quickly. He quickly raised his right hand, which was as strong as a shield. Lin Yu's kick hit his arm exactly, as if he had kicked a hard steel plate. Clang! The battle between the two of them caused a bloody airflow to spread in all directions. Malyan Yuni and Xing Su couldn't help but step back. However, the two of them were also shocked. This kid can compete with my father's constitution? Young Master Xing Su was almost at a loss for words. He had been beaten to a pulp since he was a child, so he naturally knew how strong his father's constitution was. Damn it! Not only does he have that terrifying black scythe, but his constitution is also as strong as a lost state combat cultivator? Malyan Yuni's eyes widened, and even his breathing became rapid. They all saw that Xing Kuei had been kicked away by Lin Yu. Everyone only saw Lin Yu's foot explode with golden light, and within the golden light, there was a black death chi. Is that the black scythe move? Malyan Yuni and Xing Su were nervous. They had also seen the scene of Lin Yu cutting down a palace with a single slash. He can perform that move with his feet. What kind of monster is this? In the battle, Xing Kuei's huge body directly smashed to the wall of the guest hall. Bang bang bang. One by one, the walls were smashed with holes. Xing Kuei crawled out of the rubble. He looked at his left arm, and his eyes bloodshot eyes test good. You've broken my hands, my arm. He's slash s constitutions Malyan to twos to stops twos stand. Is this his? Xing Kuei leaped into the air and returned to the original battlefield. Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back, looking as calm as ever. Continue. Xing Kuei raised his left arm, and the blood chi of his battle constitution surrounded his left arm. Law of battle constitution, super recovery. Emol Yen Tu and Li Chen saw the clue at the same time. Xing Kuei's left arm, which had caved in, was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. The strength of combat cultivators was so terrifying. Come! Xing Kuei rushed toward Lin Yu again. Everywhere he passed, there were layers of sonic booms. Lin Yu's clothes fluttered in the wind. However, his attention was on Emolien Tu, who was standing at the side. At this moment, Emolien Tu was holding a blood-red scimitar and was rushing toward Lin Yu without anyone noticing. If it were someone else, they wouldn't be able to pay attention to it. However, Lin Yu's combat skills, including sword dao, array formation, close combat, insight, and so on, added up to thousands of years that he himself couldn't even remember. Now, Lin Yu quickly raised his left foot and took half a step back. At the same time, Emolien Tu's scimitar slashed down. The aura of the law erupted and the earth shattered. The blade intent spread directly. Lin Yu didn't stop and retreated another 10 feet. The ground in front of him had become a pit of several feet under Emolien Tu's scimitar. Good boy, you can even dodge this. If Lin Yu only cared about Xing Kuei, who was attacking from afar, he would have already succeeded. However, Lin Yu didn't. Xing Kuei appeared in front of Lin Yu, and the sound of wind breaking came from the sky. Lin Yu didn't raise his head and directly raised his foot on his shoulder. The 2 feet collided. In the air, the law and the 3 elements' golden light collided. The terrifying shock waves from the battle formed a monstrous storm. The guest halls around Lin Yu and Xing Kuei were directly destroyed by the shockwave. Yan Xiaoxiao's jade hands were still in her sleeves, but no one saw that she was clenching her fists so tightly that her nails had pierced into her palms. She wanted to help Lin Yu. However, with her current status, if she really went to help Lin Yu, it would only put him in greater danger. The anger of an emperor master. It was much more terrifying than Xing Kuei and Emolien Tu combined. In the air, Xing Kuei and Lin Yu separated again. The two's bodies collided for the second time, but there was still no winner. Lin Yu, try my scimitar again. Just as Emolien Tu was about to attack, he saw Yan Xiaoxiao standing in front of him. Empress, you really have an unusual relationship with Lin Yu? Emolien Tu sneered. He had been waiting for Yan Xiaoxiao to help Lin Yu. I'll remember your crime of slandering me. Yan Xiaoxiao's expression was cold. She waved her robe and glared at Emolien Tuesday. My Shura Emperor sect wants to take down Lin Yu, but we still need the help of the Northern Sage. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by the other Emperor sects? Emolien Tu narrowed his eyes. Lin Yu is cunning. He's not weak. Sophistry. You and the Northern King attacked together, but you couldn't hurt Lin Yu at all. This is enough to prove your incompetence. Yan Xiaoxiao's stern voice rang out. She didn't give Emolien Tu a chance to speak. Not only did she interrupt him, but she also said in a commanding tone, Today, the Shura Emperor sect will definitely take down Lin Yu, but we don't need to rely on others. Otherwise, if we can't take down a Grand Supreme Realm Cultivator with the help of our generals and the North King, the Shura Emperor sect will become a laughingstock. Yan Xiaoxiao said righteously. Emolien Tu didn't know how to refute her. Northern King, I'll let you deal with Lin Yu first. If the Northern King can't defeat Lin Yu, it won't be too late for my Shura Emperor sect to take action. Yan Xiaoxiao said as she stood in front of Emolien Tu and Emolien Yuni. In his heart, he made up his mind that he would never allow them to join forces to bully Lin Yu. What a good empress, Madame Xiaoxiao. I'll remember this. Xing Kuei glared. He knew that if Emolien Tu continued to work with him, taking down Lin Yu was just a matter of time. However, Yan Xiaoxiao stopped Emolien Tu from taking action. She said it was for the sake of the Emperor sect's reputation. In reality, she was giving Lin Yu a chance to live. Chapter 451. Fine, this king won't do. Us father and son will not be able to take down Lin Yu. Xing Kuei raised his hand, and young Master Xing Su stepped into the air. It was still 2 people against Lin Yu at the same time. Shameless! At this moment, Yu Xiaoxiao's voice came from the Alchemy Emperor sect. She brought Mother Yu, Xiong Wenlong, Bai Bai, and the others from the Alchemy Emperor sect and Ghoul sect. Young Master Xing Su, if you want to fight, let's fight. Xiong Wenlong pointed at young Master Xing Su, who was about to attack Lin Yu. It's time to settle the debt of stealing my wife. You? This young master will kill you first, then take your wife. Young Master Xing Su's eyes turned red as he rushed toward Xiong Wenlong. Husband, be careful, Bai Bai said worriedly. Don't worry, I'll kill this lecher today to avenge you. Xiong Wenlong took a step forward, and talismans flew into the sky. A giant descended. Lin Yu, I'll help you. Yu Xiaoxiao also moved and appeared beside Lin Yu. At the same time, Lian Yin, Zhuang Tiangang, and Yang Mu also gathered. Interesting, it's getting more and more interesting. Xing Kuei sneered, but he was cursing in his heart. With so many experts gathered, how could they take down Lin Yu? North King, focus on Lin Yu. I'll take care of the others. Mo Lien too looked at Yen Xiaoxiao. This won't affect the reputation of the Alchemy Emperor sect, right? Yen Xiaoxiao's expression was cold, but before she could speak, Mo Lien Tu and Mo Lien Yuni had already attacked Lian Yin and the others. State teacher. Lian Yin was worried that Lin Yu would be alone. However, the latter was still calm and said absent-mindedly, Go. Okay. Lian Yin and the others immediately faced Mo Lien Tu and his son. You're the only one left. Xing Kuei clasped his hands in front of his chest and stared at Lin Yu. Let this king test if the state teacher's battle physique is really that powerful. Lin Yu shrugged, but before he could speak, Xing Kuei had already rushed over. You sure have a lot of thoughts. Lin Yu felt helpless. It was obvious that Xing Kuei wanted to distract Lin Yu. Xing Kuei's speed was extremely fast. He instantly closed in on Lin Yu. As he released his blood energy, the air around Lin Yu and Xing Kuei began to swirl and converge into his fist. They're here. Lin Yu smiled but didn't do anything. However, in the direction of the broken sword cliff, the originally calm light of enlightenment suddenly shattered. The sound of space exploding could be heard. Inside the Emperor Hall, the Heartless Sword Sovereign had already known about the arrival of the Azura Emperor sect and the battle in the guest hall. However, he didn't care about these small fights at all. Instead, at this moment, the Heartless Sword Master, who had been cultivating with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes. In front of him, a wooden sword hilt suddenly vibrated. The Sword Emperor Great Tao finally has a successor. In the direction of the guest hall, everyone was also attracted by the loud noise caused by the dissipation of the light of enlightenment. The loud noise swept across the sky of the Sword Emperor sect. The emerald light curtain turned into countless raindrops and scattered over the sky of the Sword Emperor sect. Sword Tao light. Every light spot seems to contain endless Sword Tao. Everyone, sit down and comprehend it. Even the sword envoy of the broken sword cliff didn't cause such a sensation. Who is at the broken sword cliff? The same name suddenly appeared in everyone's mind. The Emperor sect's first sword, Yang Kai. Not only the people of the Sword Emperor sect, but even the people of the Azura Emperor sect and Emperor Tong sect were shocked by the scene in front of them. The sword Tao in the sky turned into rain and fell down. At the same time, a respectful voice rang in their ears. Low-profile sect's left envoy Yang Kai has arrived late. Sect Master, please punish us. This voice rang in everyone's ears. On the broken sword cliff, the figure of a man appeared. However, when everyone saw his figure, this person had already disappeared from the broken sword cliff. When he reappeared, he was standing behind Lin Yu, and in front of him was Xing Kuei, who was about to stomp on Lin Yu. You are? Xing Kuei's eyes widened, but he had already made his move. However, in the next moment, countless sword chi descended from the sky like lightning and reached Xing Kuei's head in an instant. Impossible! Xing Kuei felt an unprecedented sense of crisis. The speed of the sword chi was faster than any move he had ever seen in his life. How could he dare to continue attacking? Xing Kuei quickly retreated and opened up the distance between him and Lin Yu. However, in the next moment, the ocean-like sword chi above Xing Kuei's head had already swallowed him. Father! While young Master Xing Su was fighting with Xiong Wenlong, he was distracted when he saw Xing Kuei being swallowed by the sword chi. Father is not a good person. Xiong Wenlong gritted his teeth and the talisman giant's fist hit young Master Xing Su. Pooh! Young Master Xing Su spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. As he retreated, the talisman giant's fist landed on him again. With a bang, young Master Xing Su smashed into the ground. Xiong Wenlong's eyes were bloodshot. He could bully him, but he couldn't bully his wife. Hundreds of punches landed on the spot where young Master Xing Su had fallen. In the end, even Xiong Wenlong himself spat out a mouthful of blood. His chi and blood were in turmoil and his laws were in chaos. Clearly, he had overexerted himself and fell to the ground. Husband! Bai Bai immediately took him into her arms. Young Master! At the same time, young Master Xing Su's 8 followers saw the situation and shouted to avenge young Master Xing Su. Beast trapping array. The 8 of them attacked together. However, how could Xiong Wenlong still have the strength to fight? In the sky, Yu Xiaoxiao held the thunderclap divine sword. It's you guys again. Today, I won't lose again. The previous loss was still vivid in her mind. Yu Xiaoxiao remembered that if it weren't for Lin Yu, she might have been humiliated by these 8 people. At this moment, the thunderclap divine sword shone brightly and fought with the beast trapping array again. In another direction, the dust settled at young Master Xing Su's location. Everyone was shocked to see that the short and domineering body had already been torn apart. He couldn't be more dead. Son! Xing Kuei rushed out of the sea of swords. At this moment, his whole body was covered in blood. Even if he had a second heavenly layer body, he was still losing his vitality. Damn it! Damn it! Attack together! Xing Kuei's roar spread in all directions. Upon hearing this order, the several hundred experts on the dozens of warships that had been biding their time immediately rose into the air. They locked onto the direction of the guest hall. Leave no one alive. Avenge the young master. But before they could attack, inside the Sword Emperor sect, in the main hall that was filled with death chi, there were only swords. A sword light soared into the sky. What followed was the cold and ruthless voice of Sword Master Wu Exin. The Sword Emperor sect is not a place where you can be presumptuous. His words caused the hearts of everyone on the battleship to rumble. Xing Kuei gritted his teeth. He didn't expect that the Sword Emperor would be alarmed in the end. He took a step forward, took away young Master Xing Su's body, and returned to the warship without looking back. He ran away. On the other side, Mo Lien too had just defeated Lien Yin and the others when his left shoulder was pierced by Yang Kai's sword. How dare you hurt my father? Mo Lien Yun roared, but he knew in his heart that he was not Yang Kai's opponent. As soon as this person appeared, he had injured the 2 strongest combatants on the scene. How could he beat him? Mo Lien Yun locked his eyes on Lin Yu and clenched his hand into a claw. To catch bandits, first catch the king. Chapter 452. Lin Yu was still looking at Yen Xiaoxiao, but he suddenly saw Mo Lien Yun rushing towards him from the right. Lin Yu blinked, but he didn't move. Son, stop! Mo Lien too hurriedly shouted. Father, I've succeeded. Mo Lien Yun's figure was extremely fast, and he was already within 3 feet of Lin Yu. Seeing Lin Yu's unresponsive appearance, Mo Lien Yun could already see Lin Yu dying miserably in his own hands. However, in the next moment, Mo Lien Yun's eyes widened as he looked down at his chest. There, a finger was pointing at it. His vision darkened as he saw Yang Kai's indifferent and calm face. Mo Lien Yun felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave, and the aura of death rushed from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. "No, don't kill me!" A hoarse voice came, but it also stopped abruptly in the air. Countless sword chi pierced through, and Mo Lien Yun's body was instantly riddled with holes. He couldn't be more dead. Idiot, idiot! Mo Lien Tu's old face was as red as blood, and he was heartbroken. "You silly child, you can't see that Lin Yu is the center of Yang Kai's battle. Yang Kai, you dare to kill indiscriminately? This king will report to the Emperor Lord and punish you." Li Chun roared, but he was no fool. How could he not see that Yang Kai had already stepped into the 6th stage of the Sword Dao, the infinite Sword Sea realm? Not only that, Yang Kai's cultivation had also stepped into the 2nd heavenly layer of the Law realm, the same realm as him. The current Yang Kai, not to mention Xiao Wu Shuang, even he wasn't sure he could defeat him. But Yang Kai ignored him. Instead, he half knelt to Lin Yu. "Subordinate came late, please punish me, sect master." Lin Yu helped him up. "You came back just in time." Saying so, he looked down. Mo Lien's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and Li Chen's expression, as if he wanted to kill them. Lin Yu saw it all. "Do you still want to fight?" Lin Yu's voice came faintly. This sentence had no target. In other words, everyone below was the target of this sentence. No one dared to reply. Even Li Chen's face was gloomy. This was his territory, but the combat prowess displayed by Kai Yang was enough to make him think twice before making a move. Coupled with Lin Yu, who was in the grand supreme stage of the law of combat, even Mo Lien Tu and Xing Kuei could not hold him back. Li Chen wasn't sure either. Lin Yu landed. Yang Kai followed closely behind. Standing in front of Mo Lien Tu stared at Lin Yu, but he dared not say anything. "Scram!" Lin Yu's cold voice sounded out. Mo Lien Tu's face twitched, but in the end he could only step aside. He arrived in front of Yen Xiaoxiao. Lin Yu naturally saw everything that Yen Xiaoxiao had done just now. Yen Xiaoxiao's eyes lit up when she saw the familiar figure appear in front of her again. However, she managed to control her emotions very well. "It's been a long time, Sect Master Lin." Yen Xiaoxiao spoke slowly, her voice slightly dry. "There's no need to send the Imperial Madam to find Mo Lien Yun. Lin Yu guessed that Madam came here for another purpose." A deep and confident voice entered Yen Xiaoxiao's ears. The latter smiled lightly. "I still can't hide anything from you." Yen Xiaoxiao looked at the others from Azura Emperor's sect. "Great General, return to the warship first. Leave this matter to this queen." At this moment, Yen Xiaoxiao seemed to be saving Mo Lien Tuesday. She knew Lin Yu. Since Lin Yu did not let Kai Yang kill Mo Lien Tu just now, that meant he intended to give Mo Lien Tu a way out. Now Yen Xiaoxiao was actually sending Mo Lien Tu away. But the latter could only nod. "Many thanks, Madame Xiaoxiao." Saying so, Mo Lien Tu and Xing Kuei took away Mo Lien Yun's deformed body. He and Xing Kuei could have taken away their son directly. Unfortunately, they didn't know the truth and didn't know what wrong young Master Xing Su and Mo Lien Yun had done. First, young Master Xing Su bullied the weak and even kidnapped Xiong Wenlong's wife. Then, Mo Lien Yun wrongly accused Lin Yu of cooperating with him, secretly urging the Sword Emperor sect to become enemies with Lin Yu. Azura Emperor sect and Emperor Tong didn't care about these, because young Master Xing Su and Mo Lien Yun were used to being arrogant. Once someone offended them, they would even obstruct their tyranny. Xing Kuei and Mo Lien Tu behind them would also stand up for them. Just like today. The army arrived at the Sword Emperor sect, two powerhouses at the 2nd heavenly layer of the law, led by Li Chen, came to find trouble with Lin Yu. If it were anyone else, they would have died on the spot. There would be no chance to reason. But this time, they were dealing with Lin Yu. Today's battle. Lin Yu didn't even explain a word. He didn't like to explain. Those who were strong enough didn't need to explain. Should I call you Sect Master Lin or Imperial Tutor of the Zither Emperor Sect? Yan Xiaoxiao watched Emolian Tu and the others leave. But Yu Xiaoxiao, Lian Yin, and the others were still here. Then should I call you Imperial Madam or Yan Xiaoxiao? The corner of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. Yan Xiaoxiao's delicate face trembled slightly, and her expression relaxed a little. You're still as annoying as ever. She looked around. Can we talk in private? Okay. Lin Yu looked at the surrounding ruins. It seemed that there was no place for the two of them to whisper. He waved his hand, leave. Yang Kai immediately left with the others. Li Chen was still standing in place. But at this moment, he received a message from the Sword Emperor and Sword Master Wu Xian. Li Chen's old eyes widened, thinking that the Emperor Lord wanted him to go to the Emperor Palace immediately, so the matter was probably not simple. After he left, in the guest hall, there was no one else in 1,000 feet radius except for ruins. Only Yan Xiaoxiao and Lin Yu were left. Lin Yu, I have something to ask of you. Yan Xiaoxiao's beautiful face became much gentler. Her cold expression changed. Perhaps she would only appear like this in front of Lin Yu. Lin Yu did not speak. Yan Xiaoxiao took a step forward and pulled open her right hand, revealing her flawless white wrist. However, there was an extremely thin line of blood on her wrist. This bloodline was hidden in the meridians, extending from the arm joint to the wrist, and had already merged with the meridians on Yan Xiaoxiao's wrist. Lin Yu, do you know what this is? Yan Xiaoxiao asked softly. Her beautiful eyes became much more dignified. The Blood God Curse, the most vicious cultivation technique of the Azura Emperor sect. Lin Yu said slowly. His tone was still incomparably calm, without the slightest fluctuation of emotion. However, Yan Xiaoxiao looked at him in surprise. You even know about this? Lin Yu shrugged. During the 100,000 years he was trapped, he had once infiltrated the Azura Emperor sect and understood the big and small matters of the Emperor sect. But at that time, he was only in the mortal realm. He had also experienced hundreds of failures of being discovered and killed on the spot. Only then did he find a way to survive and enter the Azura Emperor sect. Now, Lin Yu naturally did not need to be in such a sorry state, and he did not need to peek at these secrets anymore. All the secrets that were exchanged with life and death. All of them were deeply imprinted in Lin Yu's mind. Seeing Lin Yu silent, Yan Xiaoxiao's eyes were filled with tears, and she took the initiative to speak. I don't have much time. Chapter 453. I know. Lin Yu nodded. He was still curious. In the Shura Emperor sect, perhaps only your husband has the ability to force the Empress to cultivate the Blood God's curse. She nodded with a disappointed expression. He's not my husband. We're just taking what we need. Yan Xiaoxiao didn't know why. She didn't have the responsibility to explain, but when she saw Lin Yu, her heart beat violently. She didn't want to be misunderstood by Lin Yu. At that time I had nowhere to go, so I could only rely on him. The reason why the Emperor Lord agreed to my father's marriage at the beginning. Yan Xiaoxiao paused, and a sour feeling suddenly welled up in her nose. If the floating life demonic sect hadn't been destroyed, she might still be that lively little demoness. Unfortunately, everything was gone now. He needs the floating life demonic sect's cultivation technique to perfect his blood god's curse. Yan Xiaoxiao said truthfully, but I didn't expect that after he obtained the cultivation technique, he would also place the blood god's curse on me. Not only me, but also the others in the Shura Emperor sect. Lin Yu touched his chin. It seems that he has reached the peak of the law realm and wants to break through to an even higher realm? An even higher realm. Yan Xiaoxiao's beautiful eyes were confused. That's too far away from me. I don't know what he wants to do, but he placed the blood god's curse on us and made us kill each other. I guess that the Emperor Lord is cultivating some terrifying demonic technique. Lin Yu nodded. Continue. I hope you can help me. You can ask for anything. Yan Xiaoxiao said sincerely. I just want to live. Lin Yu smiled. Asking for help from the enemy who killed your father doesn't seem like something Yan Xiaoxiao would do. Lin Yu. Yan Xiaoxiao's beautiful face was filled with anger, and tears immediately gushed out of her eyes. I know that father shouldn't have attacked the profound sect. He made the wrong decision. I also know that you were only protecting yourself at that time. I don't have the right to blame you, but I can't help but hate you because you killed my father. Yan Xiaoxiao seemed to have used up all her strength to say this. Her delicate body retreated a few steps, and she actually squatted down, curled up on the ground, and cried. Now, in front of Lin Yu, she was like a helpless little girl who had lost her loved ones. But now, the life of this little girl who only wanted to live was once again in the hands of someone else. I just want to live. Yan Xiaoxiao's sobbing could be heard. Lin Yu couldn't see her tear-stained face. He looked down at her and said calmly, You are the Celestial Empress after all. If the Azura Sovereign wants to cultivate the demonic arts, he won't sacrifice you. I rejected him. Yan Xiaoxiao was silent for a long time before she calmed down. When she raised her head, her teary eyes met Lin Yu's cold eyes. I rejected him many times. In the end, he flew into a rage out of humiliation. Yan Xiaoxiao gritted her teeth. I didn't want to be the Celestial Empress, but he wanted me to be. It was originally a deal for cultivation and survival, but now, he's using my life to make me submit to him. Lin Yu's eyes didn't have the slightest ripple, which made Yan Xiaoxiao's heart hurt even more. Lin Yu said calmly, Since you've entered the Azura Sovereign sect, you should naturally submit to the Sovereign Lord. I know. Yan Xiaoxiao wiped her tears and looked at Lin Yu with resentment. But I already have someone in my heart. If he doesn't leave my heart, no one can enter it. Yan Xiaoxiao took a deep breath and clenched her teeth, as if she was determined to say what she said. As long as that hateful guy is in my heart, no man can enter it. Lin Yu frowned slightly, but he quickly regained his composure. Yan Xiaoxiao saw this scene. She smiled through her tears and wrapped her wrist around Lin Yu's neck. After a long while, the two of them finally separated. Yan Xiaoxiao gasped for breath. She didn't even dare to breathe heavily during the kiss just now. Now, she could feel that her heart was about to jump up to her throat. This is my first kiss, in exchange for your emotional reaction just now. Yan Xiaoxiao pursed her lips. However, Lin Yu's lips curled up. His right hand slid over Yan Xiaoxiao's slender waist and pulled her down again. The two of them touched again. Just this alone isn't enough. When Lin Yu's voice fell, Yan Xiaoxiao wanted to resist, but her mouth was already blocked by Lin Yu. A cup of tea. 2 cups of tea. 3 cups of tea. Lin Yu let go of her. Bastard! Yan Xiaoxiao hurriedly retreated a dozen steps. She took a deep breath for a long time before calming down. She really felt that if Lin Yu didn't let go, she might just suffocate in his arms like this. Are you satisfied? Yan Xiaoxiao looked at him sorrowfully. Do you understand my intentions? She originally thought that Lin Yu's gaze would have more emotions for her. However, Yan Xiaoxiao was quickly disappointed. Lin Yu's gaze was still calm and cold. This was a gaze that looked down on the world and looked down on all living things. Your technique is too bad. Next time, you have to improve a little. Lin Yu wiped the water stains on his lips and smiled faintly. He also knew that Yan Xiaoxiao had no experience, otherwise, she wouldn't be so unfamiliar. Seeing the latter's shy and ashamed appearance, Lin Yu changed the topic again. Emol Yen too is not one of your people. He's here to monitor you, right? Yes, there's no one in the Azura Emperor sect that I trust. After Yan Xiaoxiao finished speaking, she hesitated for a moment. I guess there's one, but unfortunately, her identity, she did not continue. Lin Yu had already roughly understood Yan Xiaoxiao's situation. All right, then I'll make a trip to the Azura Emperor sect. Yen Xiaoxiao thought that she had heard wrongly. This guy actually agreed so easily? Can't be because of that just now, right? Yen Xiaoxiao's face was red as she probed. Those 2 moves just now were just a deposit. Lin Yu smirked. When your blood god curse is removed, I'll ask you for the full payment. Although Yen Xiaoxiao did not understand the meaning of deposit and full payment. However, looking at Lin Yu's expression, she naturally sensed something. So bad. Yen Xiaoxiao suppressed the thoughts in her heart and asked seriously, "Then may I ask the Zither Emperor Sec's imperial advisor, when do we set off?" Lin Yu smiled. "We can set off now." Now? Yen Xiaoxiao's face was filled with astonishment. Azura Emperor Sect is a dangerous place. Are you sure you don't want to bring more people? No need. Lin Yu took a step forward. I'll leave my safety to the Emperor's wife. Yen Xiaoxiao snorted lightly. Don't mention this identity again. I don't want it at all, but if I don't, the Emperor will immediately kill me. He is a man with an abnormal mind. She then looked at Lin Yu. Are you sure you want to bring these people back to the Azura Emperor Sect with me? No. Lin Yu shook his head. I won't bring any of them, I alone will be enough. No way. Yen Xiaoxiao immediately objected. I can protect you with my life, but you still have to bring more people. Otherwise, it's too dangerous. But just as she finished speaking, the wrist of the blood god's veins that appeared was grabbed by Lin Yu. A wave of unparalleled tyrannical power appeared from Lin Yu's palm and surged into Yen Xiaoxiao's body. Chapter 454. This is... Yen Xiaoxiao's eyes widened. She suddenly felt that the pain caused by the blood god's curse had disappeared. Suddenly, Yen Xiaoxiao looked at Lin Yu. She remembered that back in the Shura sect, Lin Yu had once devoured the entire demon refining blood pool. Is this the power of the Shura blood god's mark? Yen Xiaoxiao asked in shock. She was sure that Lin Yu was using the mark's power. This power could increase the strength of the Shura Emperor Sect's members. Similarly, it could suppress the Shura Emperor Sect's bloodline and secret arts. The blood god's curse was suppressed by Lin Yu's blood god's mark. 30%. The mark is still incomplete. Lin Yu said slowly as he retracted his hand. Yen Xiaoxiao felt refreshed. You're amazing. If the Shura Emperor Sect wants to touch me, they'll have to go through the blood god's mark first. Lin Yu said casually. Can we go now? Yen Xiaoxiao thought that his purpose was only for her. However, Lin Yu had a second, more important purpose. The third key hidden in the Shura Emperor Sect. The Emperor's Zither. The Emperor's sword was destined to be used by him after he defeated Li Chun. As for the Azura Emperor Gate's third key, it was time for him to obtain it. Yen Xiaoxiao nodded and said obediently, I'll listen to Imperial Tutor. Since Lin Yu had such a powerful trump card, she was relieved. But when we arrive at the Shura Emperor Sect, Imperial Tutor must follow me closely. Yen Xiaoxiao didn't care about other people's gossip or even the Emperor Lord's suspicion. Since the Emperor Lord wanted to use her with the blood god's curse, Yen Xiaoxiao's deal with him could be terminated. Don't worry. I've always been reliable. I won't go with you if I'm not 100% confident, Lin Yu said confidently. In the past, he had complete confidence in everything he had done. 100%? Yen Xiaoxiao was even more surprised by Lin Yu's confidence. The latter nodded. Even if there's a 99% chance, in my opinion, it's still a gamble. Only with a 100% chance will it be the safest. Yen Xiaoxiao nodded. Thinking about the blood god's mark that could suppress the Shura Emperor Gate, she agreed. That imprint had dealt with Lin Yu that day, and at that time, Lin Yu hadn't even done anything. The Shura ancestor summoned by Mo Lianyuni was already affected by the aura of the mark. Since the Imperial era, the Imperial Gate had existed for 10,000 years and had many ancestors. However, Blood Emperor Shura was the only primogenitor. That mark was the bloodline crystal of the Shura Blood Emperor. With the imprint in hand, The imperial tutor will definitely be able to protect himself. Yan Xiaoxiao relaxed, knowing that Lin Yu still had to talk to Yang Kai and the others, so she tactfully said, "I'll wait for imperial teacher on the ship." "All right." Lin Yu nodded. Yan Xiaoxiao trusted him and returned to the warship expectantly. In fact, Yan Xiaoxiao was completely unaware of Lin Yu's other trump cards. On the other side, Lin Yu sent a message to Yang Kai. Just now, Yang Kai had used the infinite sword C to build a sword chi barrier. The reception hall seemed to be open air, but in fact, no one could see what Yan Xiaoxiao and Lin Yu were doing inside. This action was not ordered by Lin Yu, but by Yang Kai himself. In this regard, Lin Yu also nodded in satisfaction. He had to admit that after this old boy's cultivation improved, he was also getting better at dealing with people. Sect Master. After Yang Kai dispersed the sword chi barrier, Lien Yin and the others also followed closely behind him. "I'm going to the Shura Emperor Gate," Lin Yu said lightly. His nonchalant appearance gave the others a fright. "Imperial teacher, when are we leaving?" Lien Yin looked a little worried. But since Lin Yu had decided to go, she did not even ask and supported Lin Yu's decision. "No, I'll go alone this time," Lin Yu said again. "No." Lien Yin immediately retorted, "The Shura Emperor Gate is different from the Sword Emperor Gate and the Zither Emperor Gate. The people there are extremely overbearing and xenophobic. It's too dangerous for Imperial teacher to go alone." "I know what I'm doing." Lin Yu's gaze fell on Lien Yin. "Go back and inform the Zither Emperor Gate. Also, please take care of the Loki sect, 7th Prince." Unlike last night, Lin Yu's tone was extremely cold this time. Lien Yin did not dare to say anything more. However, the latter immediately thought of the secret conversation between Lin Yu and Yan Xiaoxiao. Could there be some unspeakable secret between Imperial teacher and Madame Xiaoxiao? "Zhuang Tiangang, Yang Mu, you two stay here with Yang Kai," Lin Yu ordered again. Yang Mu and Zhuang Tiangang agreed at the same time. Sect Master, Yang Kai was also extremely worried. With his current strength, he could go with Lin Yu. "You stay here and take care of the most important thing." Lin Yu spoke before Yang Kai could speak. "I want you to obtain the Emperor's sword and protect it well. I will need to borrow it in the future." Yang Kai was puzzled as to whether the Emperor's sword was already in Lin Yu's hands. The Heartless Sword Master's thunderous voice resounded through the sky above the Sword Emperor Gate. "Li Chen, Yang Kai, the battle 20 years ago was difficult to determine the victor. Today, this old master will allow the Zither Emperor Gate's Imperial teacher to have another sword battle. The winner will inherit this old master's legacy and pass on the Emperor's sword." Everyone could hear his voice. Even the people from the Shura Emperor Gate on the warship frowned. The Emperor Gate's first sword will fight the sword-bearer envoy again? After 20 years, the Emperor Lord has personally ordered a rematch. Could it be that the battle 20 years ago was unfair? Since the Emperor Lord has arranged it, there must be something hidden. I find it strange. Senior Brother Yang is the Emperor Gate's first sword. Even the Emperor Lord once said that he was the person most likely to surpass him. It's a pity that it's not a pity now. The battle 20 years ago will continue today. Let's go and take a look. In front of the guest hall, Yang Kai heard the Heartless Sword Master's voice. How could he not know what had happened? Lin Yu had returned the Emperor's sword for him in exchange for a chance to take revenge. This subordinate has sinned. I didn't know that the sect master had done so much for me. Yang Kai knelt on the ground and bowed deeply to Lin Yu. "I won't watch the last battle," Lin Yu said slowly. "Raise your head." Yang Kai's eyes met his. Lin Yu smiled. "Very good. If it was the current you wouldn't have lost." After saying that, he stepped into the air and boarded the Shura Emperor Gate's warship. Yan Xiaoxiao had already arranged everything. Many people bowed and greeted Lin Yu when he appeared. "Welcome, imperial teacher of the Zither Emperor Gate. Just because of his identity, the people from the Shura Emperor Gate didn't dare to do anything to him. Uncle Yang and Li Chen's battle. Don't you want to watch it before you leave? Yan Xiaoxiao asked. She didn't want Lin Yu to miss this battle. We still have a lot of time. Chapter 455. There's no need. I already know the result. Lin Yu's words showed his absolute trust. Hearing this, Yan Xiaoxiao also smiled. This guy was not only confident in himself, but also in his subordinates. The Shura Emperor Sect's battleship slowly left the Sword Emperor Sect. Yang Kai knelt in the direction Lin Yu left. Yang Kai stood up only after Lin Yu had completely disappeared from the Sword Emperor Sect star field. But now, his old eyes were drowned in tears. From now on, this old man will only respect the sect master. Yang Kai looked out of Broken Sword Cliff and saw Li Chen's murderous sword chi soaring into the sky. Take care, sect master. Yang Kai will be here soon. Yang Kai took a deep breath. Around his body, countless sword chi soared into the sky. He turned into a sea of swords and descended on Broken Sword Cliff. In the starry sky, Emolian too was still staring at Lin Yu. Emolian Yunyi's body was not cold yet, but the person who killed his son was actually Yang Kai. Lin Yu was not the one who did it, and Lin Yu deliberately did not let Yang Kai come with him. Emolian too also guessed that Yang Kai did not want to give him a chance to take revenge. On the contrary, not only was Lin Yu not the murderer, but he was also almost injured by Emolian Yunyi's sneak attack. He was also the victim. Emolian too gritted his teeth and hid in the cabin. He could only secretly watch Lin Yu, clenching his fists, but he could not do anything. This boy is young and seems harmless to humans and animals, but every step he takes is extremely cautious. He doesn't even give anyone a chance to find a flaw. However, Emolian too knew that once he saw Lin Yu's flaw, he would deliberately let you see it. His son was the best example. Lin Yu deliberately showed a flaw in his mind to lure him to attack. If this boy is not eliminated, he will become the biggest obstacle to the Emperor Lord dominating the star field today. Emolian too had already convicted Lin Yu of more than 100 crimes. As soon as he returned to the Shura Emperor Sect, the first thing he did was to find the Emperor Lord and report Lin Yu. General, what's wrong? Suddenly, a voice broke Emolian too's contemplation. He raised his head, and his vision suddenly turned black. It was the figure of a young man standing in front of him. Lin Yu! Great General, what are you thinking about that makes you so lost in thought? Lin Yu smirked. Could it be that you're thinking of complaining to the Emperor Lord after you returned to the Azura Emperor Gate? His smile only made Emolian too feel gloomy and terrifying. In addition, he spoke out Emolian too's thoughts. No, I've never thought of it that way. Emolian too swallowed his saliva, his old face twitched and his back was cold. This was not a teenager. This kid gave Emolian too a feeling more terrifying than facing the Emperor Lord. This old man is an upright person. Why would I do something like poking at someone's backbone? That's good. I thought the great general was going to report to the Emperor Lord. It seems that I misunderstood. Lin Yu grinned brightly, but it doesn't matter if you report. Great General, remember to mention the 100,000 soldiers. They died in my low-profile sect because of the Great General's orders. My low-profile sect spent 1 trillion Yao baht to give them a grand funeral. Shura Emperor sect still has to pay this funeral fee. This was killing people, and he still wanted to cheat them of their money. This was killing people's hearts. Emolian too was about to curse, but Lin Yu had already turned around and returned to the deck with Yan Xiaoxiao. He did not care about Emolian too's face, which was about to vomit blood. 100,000 soldiers, this old man almost forgot about the weakness of the 100,000 soldiers. Emolian too suppressed his surging chi and blood. How could he not understand that Lin Yu was warning him? If you want to hurt him 1,000 times, you have to hurt yourself 800 times. What did you say to the great general? Yan Xiaoxiao asked softly. She did not do it deliberately, but Lin Yu kept a certain distance from her. Where was the rude bad guy from before? However, Yan Xiaoxiao's heart warmed when she saw this. She knew that Lin Yu was protecting her reputation. After all, she was still the Emperor Lord's wife. If people who did not know the truth saw her and Lin Yu being so intimate, they would definitely gossip. I told him not to tell the Emperor Lord our secret, Lin Yu said casually. Yan Xiaoxiao frowned. What's our secret? She immediately thought of the 2 times she and Lin Yu had just done, and her face turned red. Lin Yu looked at her blushing face. Which man could stand this? Fortunately, he had experienced a few things between men and women in his life, so he had some self-control. He quickly changed the topic and said, If you want to remove the blood god curse, I'm afraid you can only rely on the rainbow blood lotus? Yan Xiaoxiao's delicate body froze, and she immediately walked out of the feelings of a young girl in love. She nodded and replied, That's right. The Emperor Lord used the rainbow blood lotus as a reward and placed it on the blood god sea for us to compete fairly. After hearing this, Lin Yu guessed some things that Yan Xiaoxiao did not know. I can't fight them alone, so I want to ask for your help. Yan Xiaoxiao continued, This is a public rule. You can ask for help in this battle for the lotus. I understand. Lin Yu nodded and smiled. Yan Xiaoxiao took the initiative to tell him a lot of information that she knew. However, this information did not have much effect on Lin Yu. This was because Lin Yu already knew most of the Azura Emperor sect's secrets like the back of his hand. The starry sky rippled like a pitch-black and mysterious ocean. Yan Xiaoxiao stood beside Lin Yu. Lin Yu kept a distance from her. However, Yan Xiaoxiao wanted to take a step closer to him all the time. She wanted to smell this man's unique scent. She wanted to hear him say things that only bad people would say. It would be great if we didn't have identities. Yan Xiaoxiao's eyes were filled with confusion and helplessness. In this starry sky, there were too many open and covert struggles. There were too many scruples. As long as one was here, one had to follow the rules. She could not break the rules, nor could she be with Lin Yu regardless of her own safety. Even if she was willing, as the sect master of the low-key sect, who was growing stronger by the day and was now the spokesperson of the Zither Emperor sect, the state preceptor, he could not easily pull away. Lin Yu remained silent. Yan Xiaoxiao cast aside her thoughts. It was useless to think about the future. She closed her eyes and felt the peace by Lin Yu's side. Perhaps this was the peace she had not felt since she lost her father. Lin Yu, who was beside her, thought of the other people from the low-key sect. Previously, when he had brought the low-key sect from the inner region to the Emperor sect star field. First, he had sent Qin Ji, Lu Wuhan, Long Lin, and the others to the Divine Will Emperor sect. Then, he had sent Qin Wunyan, Night King, Yi Mingyu, and the others to the Ghost sect. He had planted spies for his future plans. Judging from the time, these people should have sneaked into the 2 emperor sects. Lin Yu, who had been trapped for 100,000 years, knew deeply that personal combat strength did not mean everything. He wanted to scheme against this world and be the person who pushed the era behind the scenes. He needed all the information and knew all the secret. He had to ensure that every step he took would not go wrong. After Lin Yu left, inside the Sword Emperor sect, Yang Kai's face was covered in blood. In the sky, it seemed that the clouds had been affected by the sword chi battle. At this moment it was raining. Chapter 456. Yang Kai let the rain fall on his body, motionless. The blood behind him was washed away by the rain. And at his feet, it was Li Chen's corpse. As the rain fell, the blood around Li Chen's corpse turned into a stream. The blood was brought into the broken sword cliff by the rain and slowly flowed down. Yang Kai looked at all of this. 20 years, he murmured. The sharp blade that had been stabbed in his heart for 20 years. The mother who killed his wife, Yang Qing. The one who destroyed his Tao foundation and almost made his cultivation stop at the invincible realm forever. The murderer who took away all the glory that belonged to him. Li Chun. He had died under his sword Tao. The rain became heavier and heavier, enveloping the entire Sword Emperor sect. The Sword Emperor sect, which had experienced 2 great battles, seemed to be washing away all the blood with the rain. Above the broken sword cliff, the heartless sword master stood with his hands behind his back. His gaze also shifted from Yang Kai to the heavy rain in the sky. Lin Yu, maybe you are right. Although he had always valued utility, at this moment, at the moment when Yang Kai took revenge, the burden on his shoulders seemed to have been lifted. The heartless sword master lowered his head. His tired and old gaze fell on Yang Kai. In the name of the Sword Emperor Sect's Emperor Sect, this old man commands the Sword Emperor Sect, the inner territory, the outer territory, and the thousands of sects and clans. The heartless sword master's thunderous voice spread throughout the Sword Emperor Sect. The hearts of millions of disciples and millions of mortals trembled as they listened to the second thunderous voice. The first sword of the Emperor Sect is in the past. Today, Yang Kai bears the Emperor Sword and is the Emperor Sect's Emperor Sect Master. As soon as these words came out, it was as if thunder had exploded in everyone's mind. The first sword of the Emperor Sect was in the past. Now, the new Emperor Sect Master of the Sword Emperor Sect had appeared. The heartless Sword Master raised his hand. The starry sky outside the Sword Emperor Sect seemed to have sensed his will. A wooden sword hilt appeared from the starry sky and instantly teleported. When it appeared, it was already floating in front of Yang Kai. Yang Kai was silent, looking at the Emperor's sword in front of him. This was the supreme glory of a sword cultivator. But when this glory was placed in front of him, Yang Kai's eyes became even more determined. Sword Master, I still have some unfulfilled wishes. I'm afraid I can't accept this great responsibility. As soon as he said this, the 1,000,000 disciples outside the broken sword cliff were all stunned. However, the heartless sword master just let out a long sigh, as if he had already guessed that Yang Kai would say this. With one step, he appeared in front of Kai Yang. You're going to find Lin Yu? An aged voice sounded. The voice of the heartless sword master was not as powerful as it was when he was conferred the title. Right now, in front of Kai Yang, it was just an old master who was talking to his disciple. Yang Kai nodded. He didn't say anything. However, his expression was more resolute than any words. He remembered what Lin Yu had said about the Tao. No one was truly alive. It wasn't because he cared about what others thought of him, but because he was firm in his own Tao. In the past, my path was to take revenge on Li Chen. Now the headmaster is my path. Kai Yang turned around to leave. The heartless sword master hurriedly stopped him. Why do you think he asked you to stay? Pausing, Kai Yang wrinkled his brow. Disciple does not know. The heartless sword master let out a long sigh. In the past, this old man had respected him the most. Unfortunately, someone else had changed. The heartless sword master knew that he had been replaced by Lin Yu in Kai Yang's heart, and there was no change at all. Lin Yu was the only one who could make him stay. He went to the Azura Emperor sect alone, not because he didn't want anyone to help him. The heartless sword master shook his head and sighed. It's because no one can help him on the path he wants to take. After listening, Kai Yang's body trembled. Do you think that you can help Lin Yu just because you have stepped into the 6th realm of the Sword Tao, the 2nd heavenly layer of the laws? The heartless sword master patted Kai Yang's shoulder. The path he wants to take is more difficult than you think. The current you can't help him. The voice entered Kai Yang's ears, and every sentence made him feel as if he was sitting on pins and needles. When you were in seclusion, Lin Yu and this old man made a deal. A smile appeared on the heartless sword master's old face. "Now, follow me. This old man wants to complete this deal." Naturally, he was lying. The deal between Lin Yu and him was only about returning the Emperor's sword and fighting Kai Yang again. However, the heartless sword master had felt guilty for 20 years because of today's battle. The heavens and earth no longer wish for master to stay. Let master be your master once more. After the heartless sword master finished speaking, he pointed at Kai Yang's body. After the battle, Kai Yang was not at his peak. At this moment, he was even more defenseless. Under this finger, he immediately felt a piercing pain in his divine sense. Immediately, Kai Yang's vision turned black and he fainted. There was still a huge difference in strength between a second heavenly layer of the laws and an emperor master. Holding the emperor's sword in his hand, this old man, who had always had a fierce expression, smiled for the first time. "Old friend, I've made you suffer for 20 years. It's time for you to return to your true master." On the other side of the star field, the Azura Emperor Sek's warship had already sailed into another star field. Here, black clouds filled the sky, as if it could rain at any time. However, there was no rain at all. Instead, the world below was abnormally hot. Lin Yu looked down. Thousands of feet below the warship was a sea of blood. The edge of this sea of blood could not be seen, as if this was the only sea in this world. When Lin Yu arrived, he felt the change in breathing. At this moment, he could smell a burning sensation with every breath. It was the smell of blood, but it did not have any stench. Instead, it was a pure blood energy. "Are you used to it?" Yan Xiaoxiao asked worriedly. She naturally did not know that Lin Yu was already very familiar with this place. He nodded casually in response. Yan Xiaoxiao was relieved. The warship continued to descend. On the sea of blood, there were countless islands floating. The warship stopped in front of a huge island. "I'll arrange for you to stay. How about it? It's next to my palace." "So convenient for me? Aren't you afraid of being gossiped about?" Lin Yu deliberately teased. Yan Xiaoxiao looked over unhappily and snorted. "No, I'll only be at ease if you stay by my side." Lin Yu smiled. Yan Xiaoxiao reminded him, "That's right. I can only protect you here. There's still time before the battle for the demonic lotus. Don't run around during this time." After that, the two saw that Emolian too had already come down from the warship, so they walked down together. Many people's eyes were filled with surprise. This time, Emolian Tu and Madame Xiaoxiao went out to pick up Emolian Yuni. But why did Emolian Tu look like his son had died? Did they fail? Emolian Tu did not say anything, but took his people and left the place where the warship was docked. Soon, the rest of the people's eyes fell on Lin Yu. What a handsome man! Why haven't I seen this person before? He's not from our Shura Emperor sect. Why can he be so close to Madame Xiaoxiao? I've never seen Madame Xiaoxiao so close to any man. This is not right. Chapter 457. Looks like there's no need for Emolian Tu to snitch. Your husband will know about this soon. Lin Yu shrugged. He felt that there was nothing wrong with his identity, but the private matters between him and Yan Xiaoxiao were strange. If he had known, he wouldn't have kissed her. Lin Yu pondered. Yan Xiaoxiao didn't turn around, but her bright eyes glanced over. It doesn't matter. Someone will find out sooner or later. Lin Yu's face twitched and he blinked his eyes. Could it be that this girl wanted to accuse him of stealing someone else's wife? What are you thinking? I said that I'm the Empress in name only. This matter will be found out sooner or later. At that time, they will understand. Yan Xiaoxiao smiled faintly, giving off a charming vibe. However, they still kept a distance as they walked. Although it attracted other people's guesses, it was only limited to guesses. Yan Xiaoxiao brought Lin Yu to a quiet courtyard. Imperial tutor, you can stay here temporarily. She then pointed to the house next door, which was adjacent to this courtyard. I live there. Lin Yu looked over. Yan Xiaoxiao didn't stay in the magnificent palace of the Shura Emperor sect. Her residence was also a small courtyard. It was hard to imagine that the empress of an emperor sect would be so simple. Lin Yu thought that Yan Xiaoxiao was just like what she said. She didn't want to be the empress. Unfortunately, she was hit by the blood god curse and couldn't escape unscathed. He nodded and didn't pay much attention to the other places that Yan Xiaoxiao introduced. After all, everything here was no different from what he remembered in the past 100,000 years. At this moment, in another corner, a head quietly peeked in Lin Yu's direction. In the dark corner, a pair of bright eyes were secretly looking at Lin Yu. Lin Yu smiled. Yan Xiaoxiao couldn't detect this person, but she couldn't hide from him. An interesting person appeared. Lin Yu thought and glanced at the corner. The peeking eyes were extremely vigilant and immediately shrank back into the darkness. It's late. I'll leave first. You should rest early. Yan Xiaoxiao bowed and returned to her room after saying that. As for the maidservant who had been following her along the way, she had also left her behind. The Zither Emperor's sect's imperial preceptor has just arrived at our Emperor's sect and is an honored guest of our Azura Emperor's sect. You all stay here to protect the imperial preceptor and satisfy him. Yan Xiaoxiao exhorted again and again. Remember, don't let anyone disturb the Grand Tutor. If anyone neglects the guest, I'll definitely punish them severely. Yes. The 10 maidservants responded at the same time. After sending Yan Xiaoxiao off, they bowed to Lin Yu and obediently arranged for 6 people to stand outside the courtyard. The other 4 followed Lin Yu in and rearranged the place where Lin Yu slept. Looking at the clean and tidy room, Lin Yu smiled faintly. He also felt that the environment was extremely comfortable. This place was arranged by the Celestial Empress? Lin Yu suddenly spoke. The 4 maidservants trembled at the same time. The leader of the maidservants seemed to be the oldest, but she was only 20 years old. She immediately bowed to Lin Yu and replied, Grand Tutor, this is the place where the Celestial Empress relaxes. Everything here was arranged by the Celestial Empress herself. The peach blossom trees outside were also planted by the Celestial Empress. Lin Yu nodded and smiled. He looked at the blossoming peach blossom trees outside the courtyard and said, The Celestial Empress is so relaxed and elegant. The maidservants saw that although Lin Yu's status was noble, his tone was extremely gentle and polite. They had a good impression of him. The leader of the maidservants smiled faintly and said, The Celestial Empress often comes here to take care of these peach blossom trees. I also often see, the maidservant wanted to say something but stopped. This aroused Lin Yu's curiosity. Continue. Hearing this, the maidservants thought that they had said something wrong. All 4 of them knelt down. I deserve to die. I deserve to die. The bedroom was silent. Only the kneeling maidservants were left. It had to be said that although Yan Xiaoxiao's maidservants were not as beautiful as Yan Xiaoxiao, they were much prettier compared to ordinary women. Get up. Lin Yu deliberately softened his tone. In reality, he had only said a few words without any emotion. But to these maidservants who were usually frightened by their superiors, it was already an extremely terrifying thing. Everyone trembled with fear. But the leader of the maidservants was helped up by Lin Yu. The former was too afraid to raise her head. I'm not a bad person, Lin Yu said helplessly. He released a beam of glorious energy from his hand and injected it into the maidservant's body. She felt a warm aura invading her body. This aura traveled through her 8 extraordinary meridians and immediately calmed her panicked emotions. As for the others, they stood up obediently when they saw this. The maidservant still felt warm. Even her face felt a little hot. She bowed to Lin Yu. Her heartbeat quickened, but she had no choice but to tell the truth. It's just that I often see the Empress staring blankly at the peach blossom trees. It's like, How could she dare to only tell half the story this time? It's like she's counting the number of peach blossoms on the trees. Lin Yu suddenly let go of her hand and looked at the garden full of peach blossoms. Which one is she counting? The maidservant shook her head and said again, all of them. The Empress always counts all the peach blossom trees. Her words rang out. In Lin Yu's eyes, the reflections of more than 30 peach blossom trees seemed to cause great waves in his heart. He remembered that during the 100,000 years he was trapped, when he knew that he could not escape the predicament of being reset, he had thought of death. Because of his undying body, he had lived more than 30 million times. In the 1,000th year, Lin Yu had counted all the flowers on a mountain. The cycle repeated day after day. Later, when he knew that mountain like the back of his hand, he saw the wind-moon tree in the southern land. Lin Yu remembered that at that time, he had used a few resets and succeeded in tricking one of the wind-moon 5 fairies, Tian Xian, into sending him to the top of the wind-moon tree in the mortal realm. At that time, Tian Xian thought that he was crazy. But no one understood Lin Yu. At that time, he was just filled with despair about life. He seemed to be alive, but in reality, he was just a living dead. So he understood Yen Xiaoxiao. He understood how lonely Yen Xiaoxiao was when she was counting the peach blossoms. This servant. Did this servant say something wrong? The maidservant asked softly when she saw Lin Yu staring at the peach blossom trees in the courtyard. No. Lin Yu retracted his gaze and sighed softly. He suddenly understood why Yen Xiaoxiao's emotions were so unstable when she saw him. He had lost the little demoness of the demon sect of bliss. She desperately needed someone she could trust. Lin Yu suddenly felt guilty. Whether or not he had stopped more killings by killing Yen Daoxing, it was still a great blow to Yen Xiaoxiao. You may leave, Lin Yu said when he saw that they had already tidied up their rooms. Chapter 458. The maidservants bowed. We will live in the side courtyard and will take turns to protect the Imperial Preceptor. If the Imperial Preceptor has any instructions, you can summon us. Seeing that Lin Yu nodded, these people didn't say anything else. They bowed and left. Moonlight descended. There were still 2 maidservants guarding the door outside the courtyard. Lin Yu knew that this was Yen Xiaoxiao's order. However, if he encountered a real crisis, these maidservants would probably be useless. Lin Yu stopped thinking about these trivial matters and looked out the window. The snow-white moonlight shone into the bedroom through the screen window. It was cut into bits and pieces by the wooden bars on the screen window. The peach blossoms rustled in the night wind, as if they were dancing with the bright moon as their companion. Lin Yu retracted his gaze. In the endless years of reset, he was like Yen Xiaoxiao. He had once been melancholic and despaired of life. Now that he met such a person again, Lin Yu seemed to have resonated with her. Unfortunately, the sound of the maidservant falling to the ground broke Lin Yu's thoughts. He sighed softly. He had thought that everything would not be so simple after coming to the Shura Emperor sect. He just did not expect trouble to come so soon. Lin Yu lay down and pretended to be asleep. At this moment, the door was slowly opened, and the clear sound of wood being knocked could be heard. A delicate voice stepped into the room and approached Lin Yu like a dragonfly skimming the water. You're quite handsome, and your cultivation is at the supreme realm. So weak. Did sister-in-law bring you back because you're good-looking? The person seemed to have arrived beside Lin Yu's bed and muttered to herself. It was a woman's voice. So it's you. Lin Yu had already guessed who it was. The woman quietly approached Lin Yu and seemed to be sizing him up. However, suddenly, Lin Yu's closed eyes opened. Seeing this, the woman's movement technique was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, she was already at the door. In a short blink of an eye, his strength seemed to be no longer beneath that dead ghostly Chen. The newcomer actually possessed the cultivation of the 3rd layer of the laws. Luo Xiaoqun, since you're here, Are you willing to leave without clarifying things? Lin Yu sat up and said calmly. Lin Yu didn't make any move to stop her, but his words made the woman who was running away at the door stop in her tracks. She looked at Lin Yu in shock. Lin Yu raised his head and met the eyes of the girl who was staring at him. His feet shifted, and he instantly appeared in front of Lin Yu. In the area where she was originally standing, the wind brought by her footsteps had not yet blown away, but she had already arrived in front of Lin Yu. How do you know me? Luo Xiaoqin's big eyes stared at Lin Yu warily. This woman looked like Lin Yu, about 15 or 16 years old. The 3,000 strands of black hair on her head were split into two and tied into two braids. Her delicate and pretty face still had a childish air to it, but one could already see the delicate outline of her face. However, unlike Yan Xiaoxiao and the others, this girl's face lacked some charm. On the contrary, she was even more lively and adorable than those girls who were not even 10 years old. Who would have thought that such a harmless girl would actually possess the cultivation of the third layer of the laws? Azura Emperor Lord's sister, I've naturally heard of you. Lin Yu stood up. He was 2 heads taller than Luo Xiaoqin, so he lowered his head and looked down at her. Don't put on that surprised look. I should be the one asking you first. What are you trying to do by breaking into a man's bedroom in the middle of the night? You're so weak. Are you really the imperial advisor of the Zither Emperor sect? Luo Xiaoqin blinked her eyes. Seeing Lin Yu nod his head, she was unconvinced that the other party had seen through her identity first. She snorted coldly and said, I can go anywhere in the Azura Emperor sect if I want to. Who dares to stop me? Lin Yu smiled. This girl was telling the truth. He spread out his hand. Azura Emperor sect's cultivation genius is hard to come by in 10,000 years. Of course I have such courage. Of course. Luo Xiaoqin felt that she had won back a loss. She raised her chin and looked at Lin Yu suspiciously. I've never seen sister-in-law bring a man back. You're still young, but you think a lot. Lin Yu pressed his hand on her head. Luo Xiaoqin would not give in. As she moved, her entire body emitted fluctuations of the laws. However, Lin Yu's lips also curled up. Although his movement technique was not as good as Luo Xiaoqin's, it was as if he had predicted the direction she was going to escape and made a move first. Good girl. Lin Yu smiled and grabbed one of Luo Xiaoqin's ponytails with his right hand. He played with Luo Xiaoqin's beautiful hair, not caring at all about the latter's shocked gaze. Luo Xiaoqin gritted her teeth. How could she be convinced? She raised her wrist and struck out at Lin Yu. The latter helplessly let go of her. His other hand flashed with golden light, and the 3 elements combined into one to meet Luo Xiaoqin's attack. The 2 of them did not release their power, but instead used their inner strength to exchange blows. If not for this small courtyard would have been reduced to ashes, and at the same time, it would have attracted the attention of everyone in the Azura Emperor sect. When their palms met, Lin Yu's face wrinkled slightly and he retreated a few steps. However, Luo Xiaoqin took advantage of this opportunity to dodge and once again widen the distance between them. I'm more familiar with shadow displacement than you are. The corner of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. He took the initiative and once again predicted Luo Xiaoqin's retreat path. You can't run away. Lin Yu once again grabbed her ponytail. Impossible. Luo Xiaoqin's bell-like voice sounded. How do you know how to run away with my shadow displacement? You told me when we were making friends in the past. Lin Yu thought in his heart and said with a smile, to be able to become the imperial advisor of the Zither Emperor sect, how can you not have some ability? This was the first time Luo Xiaoqin was at a disadvantage in terms of movement technique. However, Lin Yu's speed was not as fast as his, but he could know his direction in advance. Shadow displacement was a curved movement technique, but Lin Yu had already moved in a straight line, so he could naturally be faster than Luo Xiaoqin by a breath. In this kind of exchange between experts, One breath was enough for Lin Yu to suppress his opponent. That's enough, Lin Yu said impatiently. Luo Xiaoqun snorted coldly. All right, you win today. She had never admitted defeat, but in front of Lin Yu, the movement technique that she was most proud of had actually lost completely. She could only unwillingly admit defeat. I originally thought that you were just an embroidered pillow brought back by sister-in-law because you were good-looking. I didn't expect you to have some ability. After Lin Yu heard this, his face twitched. But in the next moment, Luo Xiaoqun seemed to have sensed something. She pulled on Lin Yu's sleeve with her jade-like hands, and sized up Lin Yu with her bright eyes. You're practicing 3 elements as one? Yes. Lin Yu nodded. If there were only a few people in the starry sky who could see his 3 elements as one. Luo Xiaoqun was definitely one of them. This was because this girl's talent in cultivation was simply too high, and she was even a top young expert on the blacklist. How did you train? After hearing Lin Yu's answer, Luo Xiaoqun revealed a face full of curiosity. Lin Yu knew that this girl was used to being lawless in the Azura Emperor sect, and had retained her most primitive childishness and heart. After all, with her importance to the Azura Emperor sect, no one dared to offend her. You want to learn? Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. Chapter 459. Luo Xiaoqun hurriedly nodded. Of course I do. I've tried 300 different methods, but I still can't reach the level of 3-in-1. How did you do it? Luo Xiaoqun was originally curious to see what the person Yan Xiaoxiao brought back looked like. However, after exchanging blows with Lin Yu, her curiosity was out of control. 3-in-1. No wonder you're stronger than me even though you're only at the Grand Supreme stage. Luo Xiaoqun was envious. You can learn it if you want, but it's a bit difficult. It's a long story. It's fine. Since sister-in-law brought you here, you must be here to participate in the battle for the Rainbow Blood Lotus. You'll be staying here for a few more days. That's not necessarily true. Maybe I'll be killed before the battle even starts, Lin Yu said with a face full of fear. Luo Xiaoqun frowned. If the other servants of the Shura Emperor sect saw this, they would know that Luo Xiaoqun was releasing her killing intent and wanted to kill someone. I'll kill whoever dares to touch you. Cough. Lin Yu shook his head. No. He purposely used a tone that Luo Xiaoqun liked and continued. Fighting and killing will affect the cultivation of 3-in-1. Look at how amiable I am. No wonder I can't cultivate it. Luo Xiaoqun nodded, thinking that Lin Yu's words made sense. What else? Lin Yu raised his hand and touched Luo Xiaoqun's head. He had to admit that this girl's hair was very smooth. He could feel Luo Xiaoqun's vigorous vitality just by touching her hair. Also, you have to learn to be obedient. Cultivate 3-in-1 and be careful with every step. You have to be completely obedient. You can't make a single mistake. Lin Yu said seriously, looking like he was trying his best to persuade her. Luo Xiaoqun blinked her bright eyes and directly knelt down in front of Lin Yu. I, Luo Xiaoqun, have never admired anyone in my life, but I admire people who can cultivate 3-in-1. Imperial Advisor Lin Yu, can you accept me as your disciple? Looking at Luo Xiaoqun's sincere eyes, Lin Yu sighed. I never accept disciples. Master, what will it take for you to accept me? Tears welled up in Luo Xiaoqun's eyes. Lin Yu shook his head. The most important thing for cultivating the 3 elements merge realm is to listen to me and have a firm will. How can you cultivate if you cry so casually? Although he didn't accept any disciples. However, Lin Yu knew that he already had enough weight in Luo Xiaoqun's heart. After all, in this starry sky, he knew that this was probably the only person who had cultivated the 3-elemental fusion realm. Master is right, Master is right. Luo Xiaoqun quickly wiped away her tears. Lin Yu continued, It's fate that I take in disciples. It's not that I can't make an exception, but you still have to observe for a period of time. I have to see if you have the qualifications to be my disciple. If other people were present, they would definitely think that Lin Yu was crazy. A Grand Supreme actually dared to speak to a peak third-layer law realm expert in such a manner? What was this if not courting death? However, in Luo Xiaoqin's eyes, Lin Yu's action was equivalent to an incomparably tall giant rewarding her with a chance. Master, I have a chance to become your disciple. Luo Xiaoqin quickly kowtowed. Xiaoqin will definitely work hard. Lin Yu nodded with a smile and helped Luo Xiaoqin up. In the future, in front of outsiders, you don't have to bow to me, but it's still necessary to be obedient. Luo Xiaoqin nodded. Lin Yu said again, lie down first and untie your belt. As the first test, I want to see if your body is suitable for cultivating the three elements merge realm. Okay. Luo Xiaoqin lay flat on Lin Yu's bed. Master, don't worry. Xiaoqin's body is very healthy. Master, sister-in-law's room smells very good. Luo Xiaoqin stuck out her tongue. State Preceptor, my sister-in-law has never brought a man back. She must have told you about her situation. Lin Yu pressed his right hand on Luo Xiaoqin's body. Yao Qi emanated as he slowly walked around her body, but he didn't reply. Although he didn't touch Luo Xiaoqin didn't reject Lin Yu's actions at all. Thus, Luo Xiaoqin continued, although sister-in-law's bringing you back has attracted a lot of criticism, I know that my big brother emperor is also in the wrong. Luo Xiaoqin seemed to be talking to herself. He clearly knows that sister-in-law doesn't like him at all, but he still insists on keeping her here. As the saying goes, a forcibly picked melon won't be sweet. Lin Yu's face twitched. Girl, you're still young, but you know a lot. Of course. Luo Xiaoqin smiled proudly. I also know that they've never slept together. Sister-in-law isn't willing, and brother is obsessed with cultivation. For the sake of martial arts, he can sacrifice anyone, including me. If I were sister-in-law, I wouldn't like him either. Lin Yu coughed dryly. He felt that he wouldn't be able to clear his name no matter what he said now. But soon, Luo Xiaoqin felt her whole body burning up. Divine sense in normal state, metal and fire attributes, straightforward and explosive temperament, upright and plain-spoken. Lin Yu's hand was placed on Luo Xiaoqin's head, and now it was moving down. Good combat constitution. You've eaten a lot of supplements since young. Your breathing is stable. 37, 22, 36. Not bad. You're a good seedling. For some reason, Luo Xiaoqin felt her face burning. Lin Yu clearly looked very serious, but she started to feel a little shy. Master is so conscientious in checking me. I can't take it the wrong way. That would be letting down Master's good intentions. Lin Yu's hand continued moving down. Your cultivation is strong. Peak third firmament of laws. Your three laws complement each other and there's no sign of rejection. Very good. At this moment, Luo Xiaoqin's whole body was burning up unbearably. Fortunately, Lin Yu released his hand at this moment. There's no trace of the blood god curse. It seems that you haven't been hit yet, or perhaps Emperor Shura doesn't have the guts to attack you. Lin Yu thought to himself and continued, the inspection is complete. You can put on the belt now. After saying that, he withdrew his hand from Luo Xiaoqin's body. Really? Luo Xiaoqin sat up excitedly, put on her clothes, and grabbed Lin Yu's hand excitedly. Master, can I cultivate the three essences in one now? This was the first time she had met someone who had learned the three essences in one. Luo Xiaoqin knew that if she missed out on Lin Yu, she might never meet a second genius like him in her life. Luo Xiaoqin felt that this might be the feeling of appreciation between geniuses. No rush. Lin Yu smiled and said, the hardware passed. As for the software, Luo Xiaoqin was puzzled and blinked her big eyes. Master, what is software? Well, software is your temperament, character, and so on. Lin Yu coughed dryly and cleared his throat. He said seriously, "Whether the software is good or not depends on whether you listen to me or not." "Yes, Xiaochen will definitely listen to you." "Alright then. Listen carefully and remember what I'm going to say next." Chapter 460. Lin Yu had unknowingly returned to his old profession. After being trapped for 100,000 years, he was used to this kind of trick. "I'll make 3 rules with you first. If you're willing to listen, I'll continue to test whether you're qualified to be my disciple." "Okay, master, please tell me." "I'll definitely obey. First, I've always kept a low profile, so you can't tell others that we know each other. Even if we meet, you still have to pretend that you don't know me in front of outsiders." "Yes, master." Luo Xiaochen bowed and nodded. "Second, my teachings are secret and can't be taught to outsiders. So, you can't tell anyone what I've said to you. If you leak it, you'll be disqualified immediately." Luo Xiaochen's pretty face tensed up, and her expression became more serious. She nodded, afraid that she would make a mistake. "Don't worry, master. I'll keep it a secret. Third, when necessary, you have to ensure master's safety." Lin Yu touched his chin. "After all, master only knows how to cultivate the 3 elements as one, but I don't like to fight. Once you fight, master will easily break the precept." "Break the precepts?" At first, Luo Xiaochen thought that Lin Yu was a monk, but he clearly had hair. Thinking deeper, Luo Xiaochen's eyes turned, and she immediately remembered that in the ancient books of the Shura Emperor sect, the real experts were all above karma. Master doesn't fight because he's afraid of getting involved in karma. That's too amazing. Luo Xiaochen admired Lin Yu even more. She nodded and promised, "Disciple understands. Disciple is very good at fighting. I'll definitely protect master. If anyone dares to make master break the precepts, disciple will definitely turn them into ashes." Lin Yu softly nodded. Luo Xiaochen quickly realized that she had said something wrong. "Master, don't worry. Even if disciple stands up for master, I won't mention master's name. You're worth teaching." Lin Yu nodded with satisfaction. "Go back. After you pass the inspection, I'll teach you officially. Now, just do the 3 things I told you to do." After listening, Luo Xiaochen could not suppress the joy on her face, as she nodded her head in excitement. Her 2 pigtails bounced as she bowed to Lin Yu and left the small courtyard. Lin Yu came to the door. Luo Xiaochen's extremely fast movement technique had already disappeared into the night. He looked at his left hand and felt a sharp pain. He had been injured when he exchanged blows with Luo Xiaochen. On the day I was trapped for 100,000 years, Luo Xiaochen had just stepped into the 3rd firmament of laws, but now, not long after, she has already reached the late stage of the 3rd firmament. Lin Yu also chuckled. He circulated his blood and qi to heal his injuries. Fortunately, they didn't really fight. That girl already has the power of an emperor. Fortunately, I still have my 100,000 years of power. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Luo Xiaochen could be considered to be of use to him now. However, Lin Yu still felt that things would become more and more interesting. The stronger Luo Xiaochen is, the easier it will be for the Shura Emperor's throne to be shaken. I don't know when he will be unable to resist using the Blood God curse on Luo Xiaochen. Although he had not yet. However, Lin Yu knew that on the surface, the Shura Emperor was Luo Xiaochen's biological brother. In fact, they were only half-siblings. They were not as close as one would imagine. He will make a move eventually. Lin Yu judged that since he dared to make a move on Yan Xiaoxiao, the victim was not only Yan Xiaoxiao. Perhaps the 3 great generals, the best carriers of the Blood God curse, had already been targeted by the Shura Emperor. Lin Yu took 2 blankets and covered the guard maidservant who had been knocked out by Luo Xiaochen. Then, he fell asleep. When the sky brightened, Lin Yu stretched and immediately felt refreshed. Now that my power has reached a state of abundance, it's time to break through. Lin Yu touched his chin. At this time, the maidservant's surprised voice came from outside the door. He naturally knew why. When he opened the door, he saw the maidservants looking at him worriedly. I'm fine. Yesterday's incident. He did not know how to explain Luo Shaoqian to these people, so he just casually said, "Don't mention yesterday's incident again. Otherwise, the Empress will definitely blame you." He also warned them. When the maidservants saw that Lin Yu was fine, that was the best result. They did not dare to say anything more. After they agreed in unison, Yen Xiaoxiao also came. Today, Yen Xiaoxiao had changed into a plain dress. It was as if she had returned to the appearance of a young girl when she first met Lin Yu. She had lost some of the majesty of the Empress, but had gained some vitality. "State Preceptor, you woke up so early?" Yen Xiaoxiao said softly. She had brought a lot of breakfast behind her. "I remember that State Preceptor has a habit of eating breakfast, so I prepared some." After saying that, the two sat down in the courtyard. The peach blossoms bloomed and occasionally withered. Lin Yu swallowed a mouthful of food. "I didn't expect your people to be so good at cooking," he praised. Before Yen Xiaoxiao could say anything, the maidservant behind her saw such a beautiful scene and could not help but blurt out, "That was made by the Empress herself." "Shut up." Yen Xiaoxiao frowned and interrupted her. Seeing this, the maidservant was so frightened that she immediately knelt down. "What's there to be shy about? You made it yourself." Lin Yu still had food in his mouth. He stuttered and teased Yen Xiaoxiao. "You should swallow first." Yen Xiaoxiao glanced at him unhappily. Her jade-like hand held a handkerchief and wiped the juice from the corner of Lin Yu's mouth. "You can leave now," Yen Xiaoxiao ordered. The maidservants immediately left the courtyard. Then, Yen Xiaoxiao said with a smile, "Who would have thought that the State Preceptor who commands the Emperor's gate would eat like a child? Aren't men always children?" Lin Yu spread his hands. After finishing his breakfast, he said, "Where is the rainbow blood lotus now?" Yen Xiaoxiao chuckled when she saw how serious he was. "You're really concerned about this matter. After all, I'm in a hurry to get the final payment." Lin Yu looked at Yen Xiaoxiao with an aggressive gaze. The latter was so frightened that she withdrew her hand. However, that delicate and charming appearance made Lin Yu feel that it was more delicious than the food on the table. "Hee, so the State Preceptor is eating with the Empress. Did we come at the wrong time?" Outside the courtyard, Emolien too had not yet arrived, but his rough, thunderous voice had already broken the silence at this moment. Yen Xiaoxiao frowned and stood up. She pulled herself away from Lin Yu's gentleness and said coldly, "Great General, you came early in the morning. Don't disturb my distinguished guest." "I understand. The Empress wants to invite the State Preceptor to fight in the battle for the demonic lotus." Emolien to laugh. At the same time, his gaze fell on Lin Yu. He cupped his fists and said, "It's just that the State Preceptor is a rising figure of the Emperor's Gate and also from the Zither Emperor's Gate. We old fellows of the Emperor's Gate naturally have to come and greet the State Preceptor." Chapter 461. Finished. Emolien Tu's side stood a position, behind him, impressively stood a middle-aged man. This man was tall and sturdy. Although he did not have the huge battle body of the Tong Emperor clan Saint Kuei, his entire body was filled with killing intent, making people respect him even more than the Saint Kuei. "I greet the Zither Emperor's Sex Imperial Advisor." The man cupped his fists and said. His voice was deep and thick, and as he spoke, the vertical scar on his face also moved. Yen Xiaoxiao's delicate face turned serious. She did not expect Emolien Tu to come looking for trouble so quickly. And he even brought a troublesome person with him. The second of the three great generals of the Azura Emperor's sect, General Shenzhong, has personally arrived. Suddenly, the youth's calm voice came from behind Yan Xiaoxiao. He had just finished his breakfast, and when faced with the arrival of two great generals, he slowly raised his teacup. Lin Yu took a few sips of tea before continuing, "This seat has failed to welcome you. I just don't know if the boss has come, so that I can see the glory of the three great generals." This seemingly simple scene had already caused Mo Lian-tu's heart to tighten. Not only him, Shen Zhong was the same. However, his expression remained unchanged as he asked, "Does the imperial advisor recognize me?" It was not difficult for Lin Yu to know Shen Zhong's name. However, Lin Yu had never seen him before. Without even looking at him, he directly called out Shen Zhong's name. It was as if he already knew the other party's appearance. Those who can recognize General Shen's face, other than the Azura Emperor's sect, the other Emperor's sects have probably all died at General Shen's hands. Lin Yu remained as unmoving as a mountain. His words sounded like he was praising the other party, but it secretly made Shen Zhong feel even more surprised that Lin Yu recognized him. "Fortunately, I'm not bad. I've heard some things about General Shen from the mouths of the living. I didn't expect the imperial advisor to be so well informed." Mo Lian-tu also took a step forward and said with a smile, "My brother Shen just returned from the demon cave of the outer realm. When he found out that the imperial advisor was here to participate in the battle for the demon lotus, he couldn't help but want to meet the imperial advisor. I had no choice but to bring him here." Lin Yu's eyes flashed imperceptibly when he heard about the demon's den in the outer region. "General Shen seems to be injured. That's strange. The outer realm is just a barbarian land. There aren't many people with powerful cultivation. How could someone injure General Shen?" Lin Yu said calmly as he put down the teacup in his hand. This appearance, indifferent, let Mo Lian-tu unfathomable. However, Shen Zhong's heart tightened. He thought that he had hidden it very well. No one could tell that he was injured from his appearance or even his aura. What was the background of this Zither Emperor's imperial tutor? How could he have such terrifying insight? "General Shen, why aren't you saying anything?" Lin Yu broke Shen Zhong's train of thought. Seeing this, Yan Xiaoxiao realized that she couldn't get a word in. How could Lin Yu display such a terrifying aura in such an unfamiliar environment? In these few words, it was as if he was the host of the Azura Emperor sect, and Mo Lian-tu and Shen Zhong were just outsiders. In front of Lin Yu, they had repeatedly made a fool of themselves. "I'm just curious." The scar on Shen Zhong's face twitched as he suppressed the shock in his heart. "I wonder why the imperial tutor thinks that I am injured? Half of He Yu's power comes from my nirvana fruit. How could I not see it?" Lin Yu thought in his heart, but his mouth said, "I guessed." He judged that He Yu's progress was not bad. However, if Shen Zhong did not dare to reveal his injuries, it meant that even a second-layer law realm expert like Shen Zhong would not be able to take down the demon's den. Therefore, in order not to lose face, he concealed his injuries. Lin Yu's guess immediately made Shen Zhong feel as if he had eaten a loss, not knowing how to respond. Mo Lian-tu, who was behind him, naturally did not understand what was going on with this old man. "What injuries are you talking about?" he complained to Shen Zhong in a low voice. "I only asked you to come here to find a reason to beat up Lin Yu. Why are you still chatting?" Shen Zhong also knew his own bitterness. He originally thought that he was just a small figure in name only, swaggering through the city with the title of Zither Emperor Sect's imperial tutor. Therefore, even if he was injured, he thought that he could handle it. But now, from Shen Zhong's point of view, Lin Yu was able to see through his situation. This kid was not simple. "Is he really only at the grand stage?" Shen Zhong asked. "Can't you see it yourself? However, he is indeed more powerful than other grand stage experts." Mo Lian-tu also replied with a sound transmission, "Brother Shen, I have something on Lin Yu, so I can't do it myself. I'll have to rely on you to vent my anger." Xinzhong's face twitched, and he swallowed his saliva. Just as he was about to say that he might as well test it out again. However, Emolian too had already spoken first. I have heard that the Zither Emperor Sek's imperial tutor's battle prowess is extremely high. My brother Xinzhong has just returned, and he is itching to exchange a few blows with the imperial tutor. Xinzhong even had the heart to greet Emolian Tu's mother. Now that he was already feeling guilty because of Lin Yu's words, couldn't he wait a little longer? I wonder if the imperial tutor can give me some face? There was still a smile on Emolian Tu's face, and he didn't care about Xinzhong's gloomy face at all. Yan Xiaoxiao, who was on the opposite side, immediately stood up. The imperial tutor has to focus on the battle for the Demon Lotus. As for the great general's sparring, let's talk about it later. That would be for the best. Xinzhong thought in his heart, but before he could speak, Emolian Tu took a step forward. Imperial Empress's words are wrong. General Shun and I will also participate in the battle. We can stop here. His gaze fell on Lin Yu, and he said with a smile that was not a smile, the imperial tutor killed so many people in the Sword Emperor sect. Why is it that in the gentle village of the imperial empress, he has no blood? General Emolian, please pay attention to your words. Yan Xiaoxiao's face was ugly. I have already said that the imperial tutor needs to conserve his energy. Let's talk about the sparring later. Sigh. Emolian too shook his head and sighed softly. He looked disappointed, but his face was staring at Lin Yu, full of sarcasm. Xinzhong also saw that it seemed that today's sparring was not going to happen. He thought in his heart, is it just a kid in the Grand Supreme Realm? Could it be that he was overthinking things when he saw that frighteningly calm insight? Xinzhong, who thought that Lin Yu was easy to bully, immediately agreed with Emolian Tu and laughed. Since the imperial tutor is afraid of the battle, then I have to go back with disappointment today. Yan Xiaoxiao was worried that Lin Yu would be provoked by them, so she immediately turned back and pressed Lin Yu's hand. However, the latter spoke before she could. Wait. Yan Xiaoxiao's heart tightened. Oh no, Lin Yu was fooled. Emolian Tu and Xinzhong looked at each other and smiled. When they turned back to beat up Lin Yu, they saw that the latter was still drinking tea. Instead, in the distance, two braids flew over at an amazing speed. Chapter 462. Luo Xiaoqin's speed was terrifyingly fast. Just a moment ago, she was still far away, but in the blink of an eye, Xinzhong and Emolian Tu had already appeared in front of them. Greetings, Prince Chen. Xinzhong and Emolian Tu were both surprised and secretly had a bad feeling, because they knew that Luo Xiaoqin and Yan Xiaoxiao had a good relationship. At this moment, Luo Xiaoqin appeared at this time. Where could it be a good thing? Luo Xiaoqin's beautiful eyes first landed on Lin Yu, but she quickly hid it, because she remembered that her master said that she could not expose her relationship with him. Her master was too low-key. Hello, sister-in-law. First, he bowed to Yan Xiaoxiao and greeted her. The latter also bowed back. What are you doing here? Luo Xiaoqin then stared at Emolian Tu and Emolian Tuesday this. Reporting to Prince Chen. Emolian Tu's old face twitched. This old official heard that the Zither Emperor's sect imperial tutor is here, so I came with Brother Shun. I thought that since you are a guest, you should at least greet the imperial tutor. Xinzhong was a little surprised. After all, Luo Xiaoqin was a member of the Emperor's sect. Why would Emolian Tu hide his true intentions? Even if Luo Xiaoqin knew that they were here to cause trouble for Lin Yu, so what? Could it be that Luo Xiaoqin would punish the two of them for a Lin Yu? Who is the great general? How could this king not know? Luo Xiaoqin's cold voice sounded. She did not look at Lin Yu the entire time. When this scene fell into Xinzhong's eyes, he immediately remembered Luo Xiaoqin's character. Domineering, xenophobic, terrifyingly talented, and arrogant. This was the label of this Prince Chen. Thinking of this, Shen Zhong clenched his fists and said with a smile, Prince Chen, Brother Emolian is indeed only here to greet the Zither Emperor's sect imperial tutor. I only heard that the new imperial tutor of the Zither Emperor's sect had a brilliant record in the Sword Emperor's sect's Sword Dao conference, so I wanted to find the imperial tutor to spar with him. Shen Zhong was sure that Luo Xiaoqin did not like anyone to be strong in front of her. She was a headstrong girl. Therefore, Shen Zhong deliberately praised Lin Yu, but in fact it was a type of flattery. Seeing this, a trace of anger flashed in Luo Xiaoqin's beautiful eyes. As expected, someone wanted to bully Master. But Master clearly didn't do anything, yet these people came looking for trouble. It was too abominable. Luo Xiaoqin glanced at Lin Yu. Shen Zhong thought that his flattery had succeeded and continued. It's a pity that the state preceptor hid his strength and was unwilling to exchange a few blows with me. This old official can only return in defeat. After saying that, Shen Zhong let out a long sigh, looking disappointed. Emolian too next to him was also an old fox. How could he not see Shen Zhong's intentions? He was trying to get someone else to do the dirty work. If Prince Chen made a move, it would definitely be more fun than if Shen Zhong made a move. Because of Luo Xiaoqin's battle prowess and status, if she really fought with Lin Yu in that case, Lin Yu's death would only be more miserable. Thinking of this, Emolian too immediately echoed, this old official thinks that the imperial advisor has a high status, and is the #1 person under the Zither Emperor. Naturally, he disdains to fight with this old official. His old eyes turned, and he raised his head to peek at Luo Xiaoqin. In this old official's opinion, Lin Yu boasts of being superior to others, perhaps even Prince Chen is in his eyes. After saying that, Shen Zhong glanced at Emolian too, and cast a look of admiration. The older the ginger, the spicier it is. Brother Emolian's poisonous scheme is really much better than mine. The knot in their hearts had been planted, and now they could only wait for Luo Xiaoqin's reaction. Behind the two of them, Yan Xiaoxiao's heart tightened. How could she not see through their scheme? She immediately took a step forward and whispered to Luo Xiaoqin, Prince, don't misunderstand. The state preceptor is the helper I invited to participate in the battle for the 7-colored blood lotus. In fact, before the state preceptor arrived, he had already had a series of fierce battles in the Sword Emperor sect. His strength is still not at his peak. If he agrees to General Shen Zhong's spar, I'm afraid it will affect his performance in the battle. Luo Xiaoqin blinked her beautiful eyes a few times, sizing up the relationship between Yan Xiaoxiao and Lin Yu. She did not dare to look at Lin Yu for too long, afraid that someone would recognize her relationship with him. However, when she looked at Yan Xiaoxiao, the latter's concerned look, coupled with the fact that she was protecting Lin Yu, made her certain of one thing. Sister-in-law had never treated brother like this before. It seemed like the person she truly liked was her master. Empress, could it be that brother Shen Zhong does not need to use his strength to spar? Emolian too saw that Luo Xiaoqin did not speak, and was afraid that today's good show would be evaded by Yan Xiaoxiao. He immediately put on a look of indignation for Shen Zhong. My brother Shen has also just returned from a mission. He is also not at his peak. He has only heard of the state preceptor's name, so he personally came to spar with sincerity. After saying that, Emolian too shook his head. Could it be that one of our Azura Emperor sect's 3 great generals is so unimpressive? Yan Xiaoxiao wanted to scold him. How could this old fox turn her into a victim with just a few words? Emolian Yuni's corpse had not yet turned cold, but he was in a hurry to find Lin Yu for revenge. This kind of person was too vengeful and was also a difficult opponent. Lin Yu did not have as many thoughts as Yan Xiaoxiao. Instead, he burst out laughing. State preceptor. Emolian Tu's face twitched. Show some respect. Even Yan Xiaoxiao did not know how to smooth things over for a moment. I'm sorry. Lin Yu waved his hand. I have only been the state preceptor of the Zither Emperor sect for a few days, and the 3 great generals of the Azura Emperor sect have heard of my name for a long time. They even couldn't help but come up to spar with me." Emolian Tu's face was gloomy, and so was Shin Zhong. Lin Yu looked at Luo Shaochen again. "I have also heard of Prince Chen's name for a long time." Luo Shaochen saw her master bowing to her. How could she accept it? She immediately bowed twice. "State preceptor is too polite, disciple. This king is flattered." Yan Xiaoxiao and the other 2 saw Luo Xiaochen's appearance. They immediately felt strange in their hearts. Something was wrong. Normally, if Prince Chen saw an outsider like Lin Yu, he would definitely come to spar with him. After all, Luo Xiaochen's talent was unparalleled, and she was also addicted to battle. Naturally, they did not know that Luo Shaochen had already come to find Lin Yu yesterday, and the 2 of them had also sparred. However, the result was different from what they had imagined. The invincible Luo Shaochen had been defeated by Lin Yu this time, and had even been subdued as his disciple. Lin Yu coughed dryly. This girl was a bit obvious. He still wanted to use Luo Shaochen as his second trump card in the Azura Emperor sect, other than the Azura Blood God imprint. The 2 great generals came to find trouble with this state preceptor early in the morning. "Since Prince Chen is here, you ask Prince Chen to uphold justice. What should we do about this matter?" Lin Yu said indifferently. Emolian Tu and Shin Zhong sneered in their hearts. Was this fool courting death? If he did not agree to spar, then so be it. But he actually dared to reason with Luo Shaochen? Prince Chen of the Azura Emperor sect was the most unreasonable. Everyone in the Emperor sect Starfield knew this. What should we do? Since General Shin said that he was itching for a fight. After hearing this, Luo Shaochen felt that her master must be deliberately testing her. She did not have a better idea at the moment. It was impossible for her master to make a move. Then why don't this king and the great general exchange pointers? Chapter 463. Shin Zhong was still looking forward to Luo Shaochen dealing with Lin Yu. But when Luo Shaochen said this, he and Emolian Tu suddenly thought that they had heard wrong. What was going on? Sparring with Prince Chen? Prince, don't joke. Shin Zhong's hair stood on end. This prince is a man of his word. Who is joking with you? Luo Xiaochen's face was already a little ugly. This was a test given to her by her master. These 2 people actually dared to say that she was joking? Prince, this Shin Zhong's eyes widened. Not joking? He even had the heart to die. Why did the situation become so strange? But before he could react, his shoulder was suddenly grabbed by a slender jade hand. The speed and strength of this hand completely exceeded Shin Zhong's understanding. Before he could react, the world in front of him had begun to spin. The rushing wind whistled in his ears. Bang! Shin Zhong only felt pain all over his body. His whole body had been smashed to the ground. Great General, fight well. Luo Xiaochen's voice came. She was afraid that Shin Zhong's performance would not be good and affect her performance. But when this voice entered Shin Zhong's mind, it was like a signal to take his life. Prince, I was wrong. Whoosh! A hand grabbed his foot again. That was Luo Xiaochen's hand. The terrifying power of the 3rd layer of law instantly gathered in her hand, and Luo Xiaochen threw it out of the courtyard. Everyone only saw Shin Zhong become an arrow flying into the distance. After a long while, they finally heard a huge rumbling sound. Bang bang bang! Yan Xiaoxiao was stunned there. She knew that this girl was overbearing and unreasonable, but most of the time she was not fighting with Lin Yu, but beat Shin Zhong like this? On the other side, Emolian Tu's entire back was soaked in cold sweat. He carefully heard a sound, and Shin Zhong flew away with Luo Xiaochen's 3 law attacks. More than a dozen palaces were directly destroyed. Now Shin Zhong was estimated to be half dead. How was this a sparring? This was Prince Chen going to kill someone. This old servant was wrong. With a plop, Emolien too knelt down, and the old minister in his mouth also dropped to an old servant. Seems like I used too much force. Luo Shaochen looked at the ruins in the distance and blinked. Forget it, it doesn't matter. General Emolien, do you also want to spar with this king? Luo Xiaochen's childish voice sounded. But in Emolien Tu's ears, this voice was even more terrifying than the Emperor Lord's. This old servant doesn't dare, this old servant doesn't dare. Emolien Tu kept kowtowing. If you're not here to spar, then what are you doing here? Luo Xiaochen asked deliberately. She knew that she had to satisfy her master so that she could pass the test. This old servant was just passing by. Emolien Tu braced himself to make up a reason. No. Luo Xiaochen shook her head. This old servant is here to greet the imperial tutor. Luo Xiaochen shook her head again. I heard that you were the one who sent the imperial tutor here yesterday. Emolien Tu wanted to die. This old servant, after thinking for a long time, the aura of death had already descended upon him. Shen Zhong's experience was still fresh in his mind. Emolien Tu's eyes flashed. This old servant is here to return the money. Return the money? Luo Xiaochen's bright eyes blinked. What money? Emolien Tu saw that she had restrained her murderous aura for a while, and had a feeling of surviving a disaster. He immediately wiped the beads of sweat on his forehead and smiled. A few days ago, this old servant owed the imperial tutor some money. Today, I'm here to return the money. Touching her chin, Luo Xiaochen smiled. This reason is good. She estimated that her master would also be satisfied. Since you're here to return the money, then go quickly. Hearing this, Emolien Tu immediately walked to Lin Yu, imperial tutor. The money I owed you last time, this old man is here to return it. He took out 10 billion Yao baht from the storage ring. Emolien Tu put it into Lin Yu's storage ring. What is the general doing? Lin Yu looked puzzled. Emolien Tu was afraid that he would expose his purpose and complain to Luo Xiaochen. Immediately whispered to Lin Yu, Isn't this the burial fee that the imperial tutor mentioned yesterday? But, after Emolien Tu smiled, he didn't expect Lin Yu to slap the table in front of him. But obviously, he didn't really exert his strength. The leftover food on the table was still there. Lin Yu wouldn't hit Yan Xiaoxiao so hard early in the morning. But this scene also fell into the hands of Yan Xiaoxiao and Luo Xiaochen. Master is angry, it's over. Luo Xiaochen wanted to kill someone. Not only Luo Xiaochen had a reaction, but Emolien Tu's legs shook violently. Imperial tutor, what are you doing? Is the general giving interest today? Lin Yu said coldly, and in front of Emolien Tu's puzzled face, he continued, I spent a full trillion for your people's burial. A trillion? A trillion? Are you a robber? Emolien Tu really wanted to kill Lin Yu now, but today's situation was not right. He guessed that Luo Xiaochen had always had a good relationship with Yan Xiaoxiao. Could it be that Yan Xiaoxiao knew early on that he would come to find trouble, so she asked Luo Xiaochen to come forward? But a trillion Yao baht, this was asking for his life? The general doesn't seem to be here to pay back the money. Lin Yu sipped the teacup in his hand. He didn't actually do anything during the whole process, but the situation in front of him had been developing in a favorable direction. Yes, this old man is indeed here to pay back the money. Emolien Tu broke out in cold sweat. Yes, I'm here to pay back the money. Then hurry up. Lin Yu's tone was obviously impatient. Although at that time, the low-key sect just casually burned those corpses and didn't spend much money. But how much Yao baht was spent, he had the final say. Now in front of Emolien Tu, there was a creditor with a face full of reason to collect debts. This old man, I don't have that much for the time being. Emolien Tu's old face twitched and his heart bled. He took out 500 billion Yao baht from his storage ring. This is all this old man's savings. Before his voice fell, all the Yao bot had been sucked away by Lin Yu. Before Emolian too could recover, Lin Yu continued, "When do you want to pay back the rest of the money, General? Don't you have any sympathy at all?" Emolian too cursed in his heart. But he didn't expect that Lin Yu wasn't the only one without sympathy. Luo Shaochen sighed. "The general came to pay back the money but didn't bring enough money. This matter is indeed your fault." Emolian too only felt that the whole world was full of malice towards him. This old slave will get the money as soon as possible." Emolian too was ready to leave. "If the general really can't come up with the money." Lin Yu suddenly spoke again. Not only Emolian too, but even Yen Xiaoxiao and Luo Shaochen thought that Lin Yu was going to sympathize with the other party and planned to settle this account directly. Chapter 464. You can ask the other 3 generals and crowdfund it. Lin Yu took a sip of water, waved his hand and stopped talking. Crowdfund. Emolian Tu's old face was extremely ugly. He bowed to Lin Yu and Luo Shaochen and left without looking back. "Remember, if you disturb sister-in-law's peace again, I won't let you leave with your limbs intact next time," Luo Shaochen warned. She was extremely smart. In one sentence, she made the reason for this attack to protect Yen Xiaoxiao. This made Emolian too unable to suspect the relationship between Lin Yu and Luo Shaochen. This old servant obeys. After Emolian too left. Seeing this, Luo Shaochen also looked at Lin Yu, but she didn't dare to expose her relationship with Lin Yu. She shifted her attention to Yen Xiaoxiao. "Sister-in-law, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first." "Okay, thank you for today." Yen Xiaoxiao bowed to see the guest out, and at the same time, asked the maids to wait outside. When only Lin Yu and Yen Xiaoxiao were left in the courtyard, the latter sat down with a painful expression. Beads of sweat appeared on Yen Xiaoxiao's forehead as she endured the pain. "The blood god curse seems to be very deep in your body." Lin Yu's voice came. Yen Xiaoxiao bit her lower lip and endured the pain. "I'm already used to it." She closed her eyes and turned away, not daring to let Lin Yu see it. Yen Xiaoxiao didn't expect the blood god curse to break out at this time. Now, she could only let the blood god curse corrode her body, but she had no way to resist. Since she was forced to cultivate this thing, it could make her power increase rapidly. However, the side effect was the heart-wrenching torture day and night. But this thing was linked to her cultivation. If Yen Xiaoxiao used her cultivation to resist, it would only make the pain more intense. Lin Yu saw her appearance and put his right hand around her waist. "Give me your mouth." Yen Xiaoxiao shook her head, knowing what he meant. "I don't want you to waste too much of the blood god's imprint." She had rejected Shen Zhong's provocation on behalf of Lin Yu because she didn't want Lin Yu to consume too much energy before the battle. This wasn't a lie. "It's all right." Lin Yu grabbed her hand that was trying to break free. Only Lin Yu knew that it was to use the Shura blood god's mark, especially something like the blood god's curse. Not only would it not consume the power of the mark, but it would also increase his power. Blood Emperor Shura had relied on the blood god's mark to cultivate. Yen Xiaoxiao blushed, but Lin Yu stopped her from speaking. The maidservants outside the courtyard all felt their hearts beat faster. Although all of them had their backs facing Lin Yu and Yen Xiaoxiao, they were all women and they knew what kind of situation Yen Xiaoxiao was making. After a long while, when Lin Yu saw that Yen Xiaoxiao's pain had subsided, he released her. "So annoying." Yen Xiaoxiao hurriedly wiped the thing that Lin Yu had left on her mouth. However, there was a seductive look on her face, as if she had not had enough. "You won't be able to hold on for long," Lin Yu judged. His calm face made Yen Xiaoxiao bite her lips subconsciously. This guy was still as heartless as before. However, she still said seriously, "I know. That's why the 7-colored blood lotus is my last hope." But Yen Xiaoxiao's beautiful eyes became serious. The 3 generals are the same as me. They also cultivate the blood god's curse. We will definitely have to face them this time. Thinking of the scene just now, Yan Xiaoxiao felt lucky. Fortunately, Shen Zhong is seriously injured and his fighting power is greatly reduced. This is good news for us. Lin Yu nodded, but he didn't say anything. Although it seemed casual, Lin Yu asked meaningfully, "Do you really think the 7-colored blood lotus can dissolve your blood god's curse? Isn't it?" Yan Xiaoxiao's heart tightened. That's what the emperor said. She suddenly had a bad premonition. Could it be that he has deceived all of us? You'll have to wait until you see the demonic lotus to know the truth. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He knew that it was meaningless to talk about other things now. All right. Tomorrow at noon, the Outer Sky Island competition will begin. Follow me closely. If there's anything you can't handle, we will. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. What will we do? Yan Xiaoxiao's bright eyes flashed with determination. Your life is the most important thing. If there's any danger, we will run. Makes sense. Lin Yu nodded. Don't worry. Of course, he wouldn't let Yan Xiaoxiao know that he had another purpose tomorrow. Yan Xiaoxiao didn't dare to stay here for too long. After reminding Lin Yu again, she returned to her residence. Although she relied more and more on Lin Yu, they still had to keep a distance from each other. And Lin Yu's cold attitude. Yan Xiaoxiao knew that he had taken root in her heart. However, Lin Yu didn't care about her. He was a bad guy who didn't like any woman easily. However, it was easier for women to fall in love with such a person. Yan Xiaoxiao returned to her residence, but she couldn't help thinking about the 3rd time with Lin Yu. However, at this time, the sky was getting dark. Under the setting sun, Lin Yu's courtyard was supposed to be very comfortable under the peach blossoms. However, at this time, a middle-aged man's figure appeared. His appearance was soundless. There was no sign at all, and no one had noticed his appearance in advance. Inside and outside of Lin Yu's courtyard, the maidservants didn't even have time to react to the appearance of the man. Instead, time and space around them seemed to freeze. All the maids were motionless. Space and time law, Lin Yu smirked. You're ruining my mood. His face was still as calm as ever. The middle-aged man was incomparably handsome and had strength comparable to Lin Yu. However, the strength he displayed was the peak of the 3rd level of the law realm. It was the true space and time law. Are you the person in her heart? The middle-aged man asked slowly. He seemed to be asking a question, but between the lines, there was an unparalleled majesty. I don't know. Lin Yu gently shook the teacup in his hand and stared at the slowly rotating tea. He wasn't qualified to answer this question. The only person who was qualified to answer was perhaps Yan Xiaoxiao herself. If I kill you, will she put me in her heart? The middle-aged man sat down in front of Lin Yu. He was dressed in an emperor's robe and wore an emperor's crown. He sat down and grabbed with his hand, forming a teacup. The law of creation from nothing. The man poured himself a cup of tea, and the two sat there facing each other. Lin Yu shook his head lightly. No. As soon as these words came out, the space around the man in the emperor's robe distorted. Chapter 465. Why? His voice was hoarse, but the warning in his tone was obvious. If Lin Yu said anything wrong, he wouldn't mind killing him now. Who can predict a woman's heart? Lin Yu sighed softly. Everything in the world can be forced, except love. The man in the imperial robe narrowed his eyes. What if I force you? You should know that no one can stop me. He displayed the powerful majesty of an emperor. However, Lin Yu was still unaffected. Of all the words in the world, only the word love hurts the most. The word love hurts the most. The man in the imperial robe took a deep breath. After murmuring, his eyes met Lin Yu's. Aren't you afraid of me? Why should I be afraid? Lin Yu asked. He put down his teacup. I've seen Empress Zither and Empress Sword. I think their strength is not inferior to Emperor Shura. The person in front of him was the current emperor of the Shura Emperor sect. Emperor Shura, Luo Ming. I didn't expect there to be another person with such courage at such a young age besides the second on the black list. Luo Ming narrowed his eyes, trying to see through Lin Yu's depth. But very quickly, he returned without any success. Calm and indifferent. There were no flaws, nor were there any edges or corners that were revealed. In front of him, it was as if there was only a ball of unfathomable fog. What's the relationship between you and Emperor Xiao? Luo Ming asked again. Nothing. Lin Yu shook his head. He didn't look at Luo Ming's gaze. Instead, he looked at the peach blossoms in the garden. The peach blossoms had withered a lot because of Luo Ming's domineering fluctuations. Perhaps this was the reason why Luo Ming couldn't enter Yan Xiaoxiao's heart. Then I'm relieved, Luo Ming said again. In front of him, where Lin Yu was, space and time cracked. The entire space distorted like a mirror, and it could shatter at any time. And what would shatter next would be Lin Yu's body. Stop. At this moment, a beautiful figure was already standing outside the courtyard. That beautiful figure worriedly walked in front of Lin Yu. Luo Ming had no choice but to withdraw his law. Are you okay? Yan Xiaoxiao's eyes were filled with tears. She had thought that if she had been a little later, Lin Yu would have died in Luo Ying's hands. I'm fine. Lin Yu shook his head. You are my empress, Luo Ming slowly said in a low voice. Although he did not erupt with anger, it was clear that he was temporarily restraining himself. You know I don't want this identity. But we want you. Luo Ming interrupted her. When you can't stand the pain of the blood god's heart being devoured, you will willingly submit to us. Yan Xiaoxiao shook her head, her eyes resolute. When I get the 7-colored blood lotus and break the blood god curse, I will leave this place. What if you can't get it? Luo Ming said through gritted teeth. He was only in his early 30s. As Yan Xiaoxiao had said, even though he was the ruler of a star field, he was still like a child in front of a woman, competing with Lin Yu for her affection. Unfortunately, what he faced was a trace of determination flashing across Yan Xiaoxiao's lips. In the courtyard, peach blossoms swayed and fell. Yan Xiaoxiao glanced at Lin Yu. Then I will return the position of empress to you and die here. Enough. Luo Ming stood up, and the Azura blood sea suddenly surged. You don't have to go in. We can break the blood god curse immediately. Luo Ming wanted to give Yan Xiaoxiao one last chance. His gaze was fixed on Lin Yu. We only want him to die. If he dies, I die. Luo Ming only heard Yan Xiaoxiao's resolute words. She did not hesitate at all. She did not even have time to think. From the moment Lin Yu agreed to come to the Azura Emperor sect alone to help her, protecting this bad guy in front of her seemed to have become something imprinted in Yan Xiaoxiao's bones. We understand. Luo Ming took a few steps back, and his figure had already disappeared from the courtyard. At the same time, the space-time restriction on the maidservants was broken. They looked at each other in shock, not knowing what had happened. However, in the courtyard, Lin Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. Just now, Luo Ming really wanted to kill him. If Yan Xiaoxiao had not come, Lin Yu would have already activated the Azura blood god mark and fought with Luo Ming. But now, he looked at the girl who was hugging him tightly. He could only raise his hand and pat her thin, jade-like back. You're injured. We can't go in. Yan Xiaoxiao said resolutely. I'm fine. Lin Yu said indifferently. No. Yan Xiaoxiao shook her head. I was wrong. He won't let me go. Once we go in, I will kill you. She was still too naive. She thought that Luo Ming would really give her a chance to be reborn. However, it was obvious that Lin Yu had almost died in front of Luo Ming just now. Yan Xiaoxiao was not a fool. She knew that even if Lin Yu really helped her get the demonic lotus, he would not be able to escape death when the time came. Okay, we won't go. Lin Yu knew that he could not persuade her. This lass was no longer the frivolous little demoness she used to be. Now she was even more certain of what she wanted. She was no longer swayed by the lies that Lin Yu had told her during the 100,000 years he was trapped. Lin Yu was helped into the bedroom by Yen Xiaoxiao. She circulated her cultivation to treat Lin Yu's injuries. In the end, she was exhausted and lay in Lin Yu's arms. Can I sleep here for a while? Yen Xiaoxiao's weak voice was heard. The snow-like moonlight shone into the two of them. Lin Yu nodded softly. Yen Xiaoxiao had already closed her eyes, enjoying the peace in her heart that she had not felt for a long time. Peach blossoms flew in through the window. Lin Yu did not move at all. After Yen Xiaoxiao fell asleep, he sat up alone. He placed the beauty in his arms on the bed and walked out of the courtyard alone. Over there, Luo Xiaoqin was already waiting for him. Master! Luo Xiaoqin half knelt down. After Lin Yu helped her up, she immediately asked, "Did my brother come?" Lin Yu nodded. Luo Xiaoqin immediately felt that something was wrong. "Does my brother want to kill you?" Lin Yu smiled and did not say anything. Luo Xiaoqin quickly said, "Don't worry, master. I won't let my brother hurt you. I can protect you." "No." Lin Yu shook his head and touched Luo Xiaoqin's braids. "This is between your brother and me. You can't interfere." However, Luo Xiaoqin was still worried. Although her master was the only person who had cultivated the three elements into one. After all, he was only in the Grand Supreme Realm. She believed that when Lin Yu stepped into the Law Realm, he would be invincible in the universe. However, it did not seem to be enough now. Lin Yu naturally knew what Luo Xiaoqin was thinking. "Heaven Island has opened. I want you to protect Yen Xiaoxiao here and wait for me to come back." "Sister-in-law." Luo Xiaoqin spat. "No, Sister Xiaoxiao likes you, master. I can't call her sister-in-law anymore." You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.